and trended towards his 15th home run of the year, which is noteworthy for us. Number 2, when Counsell pulled Woodruff, and then the wheels fell off, both literally and figuratively.
Both times. The Yelich bomb. Let me remind everyone involved, just so we're clear here. I'm glad Christian Yelich hit a long home run. No problem. That's great. It was in a losing effort. They lose 10-7. But it is number 12 on the season. He is batting .259 and an OPS of 750. Rather mundane numbers. So the length of the bomb, that's fantastic. It is something to see. It's cool to witness. It shows that, he squared it up, belt high fastball, and he made him pay. But the length of the home run does not count for 5 home runs. You know what I mean? And as many people pointed out last night, the air in Colorado maybe had something to do with the flight of the baseball. I mean, it's still a 499-foot home run. That's a blast. It was no doubt about it. And you give Yelich all the props in the world. But people started going crazy, like this was some kind of a resurgence. Look what he's doing. Oh my God. Well, it's too little too late for the most part. There was so many opportunities throughout the season to propel this team forward. And they blew a huge lead. They were able to put up some runs. Yelich is hitting .259 with an OPS of 750, but it's 1 home run. Ben, does he reach the 15 mark by the end of the season with just about 3 weeks remaining?
Well, do we count the playoffs that I think the Brewers might actually make?
No, we're talking just the season.
No, he does not.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Maybe he plays back. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say about it, but I just, it's like when he hit the home run, everybody went, see, I told you. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. No, you didn't tell me anything. He's at 12 home runs. He is struggling to get to 15 on the season. That's it. Brewers lose last night. Counsell pulls Woodruff, and the wheels just kind of fell off. And Counsell getting a lot of blame. I wasn't a fan of pulling Woodruff when he was. Look, we're talking late in the season here. Woodruff had only thrown 91 pitches. 91 pitches. He had given up 1 run. 1 run. That's it. That's it. And I don't understand why you got to pull him with 91 pitches. What are you saving him for? You're up 6-1 at that point, and you pull him 8th inning. Colorado immediately puts up 5, ties the thing up, and then they go into extras. And the Brewers get that 1 run, and you're thinking all is right with the world, only to watch the backside completely implode. And Rogers throws, Hobie Milner throws a third of an inning, scoreless, had a strikeout, didn't look bad. But you go Woodruff, Perdomo, who that ERA sits at 4.5 almost. Milner, and then Rogers throws a third of an inning, 2 hits, 4 runs. Just dumb. Just bad, for lack of a better term. This was Craig Counsell explaining things after the ball game last night. Take a listen to what Counsell had to say.
No, Woody was. I thought that was the effort that we needed from Woody, and going out there 7 innings here, he did a heck of a job, pitched a heck of a game. He put us in a good spot to win the game, great spot to win the game. So I went to Louis, and it happened fast, obviously. and then, it was just nothing good happened after that, frankly.
I don't understand pulling him. I get why with 91 pitches and going strong, I'm not a fan. This was a bad move. Maybe for the longevity of Brandon Woodruff. Okay, I get it. Save a little now, gain a little later. But this was a bad move. Bad move by council. Bad move by the ball club. Bad move. Your bullpen's been faltering as of late, and you turn it over to a bunch of guys that aren't getting the job done. So, bad move. I know a lot of people ripping council for the move last night. And last night, you can. Overall, again, I think it's been pretty good. I would have to probably blame the offense more than anything and a lot of failures. But last night, no. Last night it should have been Woodruff should have at least thrown 8. I know this whole sabermetric thing where the third time through a lineup, the fourth time through a lineup, guys get to tee off on you. I would have sent Woodruff out there unless he got hit. If he started getting hit, especially with that kind of a lead, if he started getting hit, I would have pulled him. But for those of you that rip Craig Counsell on almost a daily basis, last night I can say I agree with you. I don't always agree because some people just rip to rip. When things work out, they work out in spite of, and when things don't work out, you want to point the finger. But I don't agree with. But last night I didn't understand it. Pac fan says, do you think Counsell's on the hot seat, or is he safe as long as Stearns is here, because he's nothing but a yes man for Stearns? No. Is that the way people really portray him? Stearns inherited him. Remember. I don't think Craig is a yes man. I think I think it's a collaboration, to be honest with you. And I think they've done a really good job. You would look at the track record and you couldn't argue with it. What everybody else says, well, yeah, they've never won a championship. Well, up until the last 4 or 5 years, they've never won a championship either. But yet they've been consistently in the postseason. So they're doing something right. 877-867-1670. By the way, the Brewers bullpen over the last 10 games, their ERA is at 4.69, which is another reason I probably would not have turned it over to the bullpen, who has been, as I stated before, failing more often than not lately. They are ranked 23rd in baseball. 23rd in baseball. So clearly an area that needs to be upgraded in the offseason. And you're not going to win like that. But yet another reason that, I mean, I get it on one hand, Counsell's thinking, God, you can't blow this lead. But this is one of those decisions to pull a guy when, they're going to say, yep, you should have never pulled him. And I would agree. 877-867-1670. That's the phone number to get a hold of us, should you choose to do so. You can find us over on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, or at Ben Z. Kenny, at Ben Z. Kenny. You can find us over on the Facebook fan page. You can watch the program there, Facebook Live every day. Go to facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show, which, by the way, if you have not gone there or to the Instagram page or what have you, I posted that video last night I was telling you about. And I know it's a little long. I didn't realize that as I was speaking, it went that long, but it's still the mid portion of that with the veteran, the veteran that is in hospice. What a terrific letter. And hopefully there's more to that story as time comes on. But it just, what a neat moment. What a neat moment. So you can find us over there. Go to YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. You can also find us on Twitch TV. The same. Email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. That is thebillmichaels@gmail.com. You can find us on all the podcast platforms as well. Spotify, Also, Apple iTunes and Google Podcasts. You can always go to the website, thebillmichaels.com, and you can click listen to the program. There's links there. If you want to download the app, it's the Zone Madison, WOZN, the Zone in Madison. And you can download the app, take us anywhere and everywhere, and listen to us as well. So plenty of ways to get a hold of the program. So thanks to everybody for taking a listen to us on many of the different platforms that are out there. Jack says that was it. The final straw. Council has to go. Dumb move last night. Wants to talk about how Woody got us there. If he got you there, then why didn't you leave him in instead of turning it over to that gasoline can of a bullpen? There you go. Appreciate the email. I have no argument for last night. None. Last night, bad move. Bad move. I mean, unless Woodruff said I'm feeling pain or stiffness or tired or what have you, no reason to pull him last night. Nada. This is from Randy. Randy says, I think Council blew it, but I think he's a really good manager. Every manager blows a game or two, and every manager wins a game or two. I think it all evens out in the end. People coming down on Craig Council are just mad and wanting to blame somebody. Why don't we blame the players for all the times that they had guys in scoring position and couldn't bring in a run or couldn't be hit behind the runner or couldn't steal a base or couldn't drop down a bunt or a pitcher that couldn't throw strikes? I think we looked too hard at a manager as an easy fix, just like we looked at the hitting coach, replacing them as an easy fix. We've gone through 3 of them now, and things have not gotten better. Let's face it, it's these players. That's from Randy. Randy, appreciate the email. Let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, come back, get some more thoughts. Last night, Brewers implode. We got a lot of stuff going on today. Bill Huber is going to be joining us, talking to Packers football. That is coming up a little bit later on, about 45 minutes from now. Tyler Dunn, really good article. Really good article. We're going to talk with him a little bit about some of the Green Bay Packers. Eric Eager, Pro Football Focus. He's going to be here in the last hour of the program. We should hear from Matt LaFleur today. Probably going to hear from Aaron Rodgers today. We may get a check-in from Mike Clemens today. We got a lot going on. Huddle coming up tonight. We're going to be down in Kenosha. So stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket, this is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Are you a gold breaker? Play your favorite games at Potawatomi Sunday afternoons now through September, and you could win your share of $1 million in prizes. Break the code, win the $10,000 top jackpot, and everyone playing slots also wins a prize. Anyone can win on any machine again and again. Do you have the golden touch? Gold Breaker, only at Potawatomi. Visit paysbig.com/goldbreaker for more. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Glad to have you. Hey, I was John Atlee and the gang from the Water Doctors. They were at the Fisher House golf outing a couple of weeks ago. And John had told me, he said, a gentleman he just ran into, he had done some maintenance work on his water softening system. They delivered some salt and such. And the guy said, hey, the only reason I bought this was because he had heard it on the program. And he's in love with the thing. And John was obviously appreciative. But he was saying that we were right. I was right that, I had a couple of different water softening systems in my home prior to getting the Kinetico system from the Water Doctors. And one of the systems, the companies pissed me off so bad, I literally cut it out of my house. I turned the water off, cut it out, hacksawed it out of my house, pulled it out on a dolly, brought it upstairs, threw it in the front yard and said, come and get it. And if it's stolen, it's stolen. I don't care. Because the service was terrible. It's one thing I've never had to worry about. One, the system has never failed. Never. I've never had any kind of a maintenance claim on it. Secondly, they've always been there whenever I've needed them for anything, whether it's, the filter replacement to go over and get the filters taken care of, get some extra salt brought to the house, whatever. Water Doctors in Waukesha, they're fantastic people. Go to h2thelletterO.doctors.com, h2thelletterO.doctors.com. And don't forget, they give back charitably as well to veterans through the Custom Canine Service Dog Academy. They're fantastic people. So again, h2thelletterO.doctors.com. That's h2thelletterO.doctors.com. After the game, Craig Counsell meeting with the media, the back and forth, the discussion about pulling Woodruff. This is what Craig Counsell had to say, and take a listen to the questions being peppered at him.
That was the effort that we needed from Woody, and we're going out there 7 innings here. He did a heck of a job, pitched a heck of a game. He put us in a good spot to win the game, great spot to win the game. So went to Louis, and it happened fast, obviously. And then it was just nothing good happened after that, frankly.
In the 10th, both teams ambush first pitch and score right away. I mean, how does that change kind of how it sets up the rest of the inning?
Yeah, I think when you score 1 run in the extra innings, it's you're kind of held serve almost. That's about it, right? Especially in a place like this. So, it's like it's a tie game with a man on second. And so you gotta work your way out of it. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that.
Did Willie do anything wrong on that play at third base?
No, he did everything right. He did everything exactly right. Yeah, we're going on contact, but if it's a hard hit ground ball, you're getting a rundown, and the throw being in the dirt. What are you going to do? But the point is, you get a still man in scoring position with 2 outs, and you're really in the same situation.
What about the job Peter did?
Yeah, I thought Peter threw the ball really well. Unfortunately, he left the slider up. But other than that, he threw the ball really well and gave us 2 innings outs, or 5 outs. I'm sorry.
Going back to Woody a little bit, What was working so well for him tonight? This 7 innings?
I mean, everything. I mean, you pitch like that, everything's working. Tons of strikes. Off speed stuff the slider was good with all the righties in the lineup. So he just, he controlled it really well and, was sharp every inning, really.
The defense behind him was really good tonight, too. Willie had that great play.
Yeah, Willie's had a heck of a series defensively. He's played incredible. Rowdy had a nice play. So definitely, helped him out for sure.
Do you think Christian had 499 in it?
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen a ball hit up there in a game, so it was pretty amazing.
Kelton, anything?
He's got some just left knee is bothering him. Just having a hard time kind of sitting in it when he was hitting. So it's day to day.
Is that something that was the case before the game started, or did something trigger it?
Just September.
Okay.
Greg Counsell talking to the media afterwards, and a lot of talk about Yelich and the 499 home run, the longest hit by a Brewers player since I think 2015, if I'm not mistaken. I think is what they said. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's what they said. But again, it's one dinger. It's not something that's been consistent throughout the season, and so you'd like to see him do more and propel this team into the postseason and really get hot and go from there. But again, like I've been saying all season, wait and see. Wait and see. The consistency hasn't been there. It's been consistently inconsistent, to say the very least. So Rockies get a win last night. Brewers fall, and 10-7, the final in extras. And the way things shape up right now, Brewers remain 8.5 games back behind the Cardinals in the divisional chase, and they're still 3 games back behind San Diego and company and the Padres from getting themselves into the postseason. And you're running out of time, man. Just running out of time. For a team that at one point was looking at pressing the 15 to 20 games over 500 mark is now just 7 games over. 7 games over. And somewhat fading. I will say this, speaking of fading, the Mets have dropped off. Holy mackerel. They've lost 3 straight. Scherzer now going on the IL, and they're struggling a little bit. Meanwhile, Atlanta, they've now won. Their winning streak is now at 6 in a row. They're 85-51, 34 games over 500. 34 games over 500. Both coming out of the East. 877-867-1670. You want to find us, go ahead and do so. This one's from Scotty. Scotty says, no way they deserve to be in the postseason. Even if they get there, they're going to get bounced. They're going to build up everybody's hopes for what? 1 game? Just to go home and say the same old, same old. This team needs to be scrapped. Some of the dead weight needs to be trimmed off. And then they need to find some players that can actually put the bat to the baseball, because this team flat out can't hit consistently. The all or nothing mentality in Major League Baseball is maddening, and the Brewers are the epitome of what not to do. And that's from Scotty. Scotty, appreciate the email. ESPN Steve says, does Counsell sound like he even cares? He always sounds the same. He always sounds the same. This guy did this. He did this really well. He just had the one pitch that, missed it. That's the one thing about Craig Counsell that you want in a manager is there's this steadiness. It's just always there. So does he sound like he cares? But he sounds like that all the time. Now there's maybe a little more joy after a win, but he sounds the same all the time. Scott says last night's game is the way the Brewer season is gone. We start out really strong, great hitting, and then pitching, and then and now we just can't finish these games, much like can't finish the season. Ron says bunt steals and such are calls from the manager. This team is not built for the small ball, and that I would agree with. Now the problem is here's what you bring up, and Ronald, you bring up a really good point. If you cannot bunt in Major League Baseball. If you cannot adapt at the plate. Now, this goes back to what we talked about last week with Todd Rosiak, remember, with relief pitching being so good. There's certain things at the plate guys can't do anymore. It's rampant. It's throughout Major League Baseball. Some teams do it better than others. There is a focus there, but it is not consistent throughout baseball because many teams live by the grip it and rip it mentality. Look, the Yankees were putting the ball out of the ballpark at a record pace with Judge and company. And then all of a sudden they went on that losing skid. Why? They weren't hitting as many home runs. Their pitching kind of started to let them down, and they weren't hitting as many home runs. You see it with the Mets. The Mets have lost a little bit of pitching, not hitting as many home runs. Same thing. They're in a little bit of a downturn right now. The teams that were built for hitting, or at least they thought were built for hitting, like Chicago for a while, like Cincinnati for a while, when they weren't hitting home runs, they weren't winning ball games. There is something to be said for that. The problem is it's become so lopsided in Major League Baseball that that's what you see. If a team doesn't hit a home run, if they don't hit multiple home runs, they're going to lose ball games. And then the teams that do hit them now, granted, last night, I've always said 4.2 runs per game. The Brewers did what they needed to do. Their offense wasn't the issue. The issue was that bullpen sucked last night. And they had no business pulling Woodruff out of that ball game. None. Because if think of it this way, suppose he comes in and goes 16, 17 pitches in the next inning. So what? He'd be at 105, 106. That's once you get past 115-ish, then you can run a little bit of danger. But let's say he goes through a clean inning and still pitches extremely well. You've got 8 innings out of him, and all you need is a close. That's it. Just shut the door. And then your options become much more vast because you can have one guy pitch to one batter. You can throw numerous arms at him if things aren't working out. Guy gets a couple of hits, gives it up, bring in somebody else. You've always got an option. But, yeah, they had no business pulling Woodruff out of that game last night. Let's do this. We'll step away. We'll take a quick break, come back. If you want to get more into that, we can. Packers back on the practice field today. Looking forward to hearing what's going on up there in Green Bay. Meanwhile, what's going on here in our own backyard, our friends at Cunis RV, the fastest growing RV dealer in the state of Wisconsin, with RV dealerships all over, many different brands in many different locations, and they will do consignment. They have new and used vehicles, whether it's a motorhome, fifth wheel, tow behind, camper van, whatever it happens to be. Wisconsin's fastest growing RV dealer. Go to cunisrv.com. That's cunisrv.com. Again, cunisrv.com. Or you can also look for our friends, Cunis, the Automotive Group. Cunis Automotive Group, they deal in so many different vehicles, specialty vehicles. You can sell them your car, the whole deal. Go to shopcunis.com, S-H-O-P, shopcunis.com. They have new cars, used cars, ways to save at the pump, all kinds of good stuff. In so many different locations, whether it's Walworth County, Sauk Valley. They have them in Northern Illinois. You can shop RVs. They've got them out in Madison, the Quad Cities area, if you're listening. So many different places. Go to shopcunis.com. That's shopcunis.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Gina Della from Pella here. Wayne Larrabee and his wife Julie took advantage of our wide range of beautiful wood designs that can be painted, stained, or unfinished to complement any decor.
We have a lot of windows in this house. You match the craftsmanship of the woodwork around those windows to a T. That's a talented group of people doing that.
We like our wood tones, and so the ability to have wood tones some places and the white windows others, it worked really well for us and allowed us to have exactly what we wanted.
Pella's team of expert installers always provides service of the highest quality, starting with an in-home consultation and ending with no hassle or mess. leaving nothing but perfect results that stand the test of time. We have the best wood warranty in the industry to prove it. There's no reason to wait any longer because right now, put no money down, make no payments, and be charged 0 interest for up to 24 months. At Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Get started today at PellaWI.com.
Expires 9/30/2022. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I got up early. I'm taking the trailer on the road this week, going to Minneapolis, and then from there, going to be in Chippewa Falls. It was Soda High Shore Supper Club on Monday for a tobacco outlet plus grocery cigar dinner, and then on Tuesday, going to be at Celebrations on the river in La Crosse, and then after that, heading to Tomahawk for the fall ride. And so I'm taking the motorcycle with me since I've got to take all the broadcast equipment and such. I can't ride the motorcycle as well. So going into Minneapolis this weekend for the Packers opener against the Vikings, I had to get the trailer looked at. And again, I thought, you know what? When I had the boat trailer looked at by my guy Lyle and a gang out of J&L Tire, he said about every 2 years you need to get the bearings packed and to make sure the trailers and such are good. And so I took it out there, and I've noticed a bit of a wobble in the trailer. And sure enough, I get out there and he said, when's the last time you had this one done? I said, I never have. I've had this thing a long time. He said, yeah. He said, the bearings are ground down, they're loose, and which is causing your wobble and could have been dangerous actually. And the tires need to be replaced. So it's just, he could do it by look and just say, here you go. And points everything out, and probably saved me some headache, to be honest with you, with the recommendations, because he said, had you thrown the motorcycle into this smaller trailer and put that kind of weight in there, you might have found yourself on the side of the road heading to Minneapolis, which could have really screwed up the post-game show and such. So anyway, long story short is I took it out to J&L Tire out in Johnson Creek, and they're doing that. They're putting the tires on it and everything. So it's not just cars. It's not just oil changes and kind of doing things to make sure that, your car's all tuned up and ready to go. It's big rigs, tractor trailers, some trailer repair and such. They do it all, and they're good people. They're very, very knowledgeable too. So if you get a chance to stop out, if you need any kind of service work done on your vehicle, and very, very honest, a guy that I can look at and say, does it need it? Yes. Okay. I trust you. He's that kind of guy. Lyle's just an incredible man. So great place. J&L Tire out in Johnson Creek. I wanted to get into a couple of things. I don't know if you read Peter King in Football Morning in America. He believes that the Buffalo Bills are going to the Super Bowl this year. Who will they face? The Green Bay Packers. He said he's picking the Packers to make their first Super Bowl in 12 years. He said, isn't it ironic, going on the road to get there? He said that would be sweet for Aaron Rodgers. He's picking the Bills to get the 0-4, 3 decades old wide right schneid off their backs to win the first Super Bowl in franchise history. So the Packers are going to get there, but they're ultimately going to fall to the Bills. He said Buffalo was almost good enough to win it last year, as we all saw, marauding through the AFC playoffs with an 83 points in 8 quarters. Then the thud in overtime against Kansas City, that actually happened. So this year, I think he said they eliminate all doubts and all the doubters. So Buffalo, he says, will go to and win the Super Bowl, while the Green Bay Packers will get to a Super Bowl on the road. Maybe not good enough to do it at home, but on the road, they'll get there. And he also goes on to say that regarding the Packers, he said, I think the perpetrated weakness, the post-Devontae Adams receiver room, will not be as bad as most think. Green Bay's kind of, patched together a young, prove-it group of receivers who I believe, he says, will be mentally whipped into shape by Rodgers as the year progresses, and who will respond well to the patient coaching of Matt LaFleur. It's a better roster, 1-53, including the kicking game, which doomed the Packers last season, with a defense that should be top 5 in the NFL by December. He said there's a rejuvenated quarterback as well. Rodgers is one of those guys who loves when he's doubted. I mean, truly loves it. No Adams now, and Rodgers figures, just watch me. We're going to be fine. That plus his 3 days in Peru taking psychedelics on the ayahuasca journey. The Rodgers who takes on the field this year will be slightly a different guy, a guy who told me he loves football more than he ever has. I think I just fell in love with it a little bit deeper, Rodgers said. There's much to prove after the disappointment of the home playoff losses as the top seed the last couple of years. Whoever makes it out of the NFC, Buffalo is ridiculously formidable. Lots can change in 5 months, but Buffalo's got the best roster in football, including the most dangerous quarterback. So there you go. He believes that Rodgers and company are going to get there. He also has New Orleans. He said, I've gotten smitten with the Saints this summer. I love how they turned a weak wide receiving core last year into the biggest strength of the roster this year. He goes on to talk about Baltimore. He'd contend that even though no team played more players in history than Tennessee in 2021, the Ravens had worse injury luck last year, and they're all back healthy for the most part this season. He also thinks that the Rams, it's going to be tough to repeat. He said they're battle tested and they can survive, but he just doesn't think they're going to be able to climb that mountain yet again. He likes Denver. He said, I picked the Broncos to make the playoffs, which will probably live to regret. This year's AFC West, the toughest division I remember since the NFL went to 8 4-team divisions back in 2002. All 4 teams have at least 10 games against 2021 teams with winning records. He said he picked the Chargers in Kansas City to make the postseason, but nothing there in that grouping is going to shock him. And he sees the AFC seeds: Buffalo 1 at 13-4, Baltimore 2 at 11-6, the Chargers at number 3 at 11-6, Tennessee at 10-7, Kansas City at 11-6. It's almost a pick 'em with the Chargers, he says. Then he said Cincinnati at 10-7, which is interesting because history will tell you that normally the team that does not win the Super Bowl does not get back to the postseason. He said the first place schedule brings Cincinnati down to earth a bit, but the Bengals will still be a threat. He's also got Miami with Tua going 9-8, and he says that they'll be there. Meanwhile, the NFC seeds, remember, the New Orleans Saints were in such an incredible salary cap jail. Remember, Sean Payton bailed, new coach, they rebuilt that receiver room, all of that. He's got the New Orleans Saints as the number 1 seed in the NFC. He said, don't forget the Saints have beaten Tom Brady's Bucs in all 4 regular season meetings, and none of the 4 have even been a 1-score game. The Packers, the number 2 seed at 12-5, he says Minnesota can threaten, but Aaron Rodgers figures out how to make Romeo Doubs a factor early on. Philadelphia at 11-6, the Rams at 10-7, Minnesota gets in at 11-6. He said, is this the year that Eric Kendricks finally gets credit for being a top 5 NFL backer? Tampa Bay gets in as a wild card at 10-7. And then the quarterback issue starts to settle itself as they go back to Jimmy Garoppolo and abandon Trey Lance along the roadside. And San Francisco gets in as the 7th team in the NFC at 10-7. And he says San Francisco wins the tiebreaker over Dallas, who also is 10-7. The wild card game: Green Bay over San Francisco, Tampa Bay over Philadelphia, the Rams over Minnesota, New Orleans over Tampa Bay, Green Bay beats the Rams, and the NFL championship game in New Orleans: Green Bay 30, New Orleans 17, Super Bowl 57, Glendale, Arizona, Buffalo 30, Green Bay 23. That's some detailed picking right there, coming out of Peter King, long time NFL writer and reporter. So there you have it. At least the Packers he has getting to a Super Bowl. 877-867-1670. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The days are getting shorter, but the racing continues at Road America through the middle of September. For all the information, go to roadamerica.com. That's roadamerica.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers back on the practice field getting ready for the Vikings. Matt LaFleur admits that, like other teams, they've been working on a game plan for Minnesota for a while now.
There's been a lot of things, I think, around the league. I'm sure there's a lot of game planning that's already kind of transpired prior to today, and I know we're kind of in that boat right now. So, you know, it's definitely given us an opportunity to get a jump on some of the things we might want to do in a game.
The Vikings have a lot of new faces, a new GM, new coaches, new players. But Packers inside linebacker Devontae Campbell says the Vikings have got plenty of good players returning from last year's roster as well.
Yeah, they got some talented players, you know, even at the quarterback position. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. He knows how to get the ball out of his hands quick. So it's going to be a tough challenge, especially with a new offense. We don't really know what they expect. So we just got to go out, read our keys, and just play ball.
The Vikings' new head coach, 37-year-old Kevin O'Connell, is trying to change the environment for his players, like shifting the practice schedule to match Sunday's kickoff at 3:25. Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins.
I think it was good today. We tried to simulate a halftime and, again, make it more like the real thing, I think was the focus, and that's what we tried to do. We were going to be at 3:25 today just to simulate what it would be. Ended up having some extra time, so moved it up.
That's the Vikings quarterback, Kirk Cousins. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Forgotten Fire Winery. They just said, weekdays, every now and then you kick back, you relax a little bit, but on the weekends, you just want to have some fun. You want to just enjoy yourself. And whether you're popping a brew or you're doing a little wine for the game, maybe a little wine and some snacks and such, having some friends over, great way to do it. Our friends at Forgotten Fire Winery. And they don't care how you do it, whether it's red wine, white wine, ciders. They have all kinds of cool stuff, really good stuff, too. They just want you to enjoy it. Don't be snooty. Don't be crazy on me. Just enjoy it. Go to ForgottenFireWinery.com. That's ForgottenFireWinery.com. They're in Peshtigo if you want to go take a winery tour, maybe do a tasting up there. And don't forget, when you're there actually on site, you ask for the Bill Michaels. It's that simple. Just say, hey, looking for the Bill Michaels deal. Heard it on the Bill Michaels show. And they will give you the wink and a nod and go, here you go. Come here. And they'll give you something. It's not a bad way to go. Go to ForgottenFireWinery.com. Look for it by name in many of your grocery stores, liquor stores, wine stores as well. That is, again, Forgotten Fire Winery. Good stuff. Good people up there, too. Really good people up there. Packers getting set to take on the Minnesota Vikings. We're going to hear more coming up here in a little bit. Bill Huber is going to be joining us just after the top of the hour. It's just the second time ever that Green Bay has played the Vikings in week 1, and it's the 4th straight year and the 8th time in the last 10 seasons Green Bay has started on the road, and the 4th time in the last 5 years that Green Bay has opened the season with an NFC North opponent. So think about that, getting those games right out of the chute. Through 122 meetings, which include a couple of postseason contests, the Packers hold a 64-56 and 3 edge over the Vikings all time. And Green Bay has won 8. Minnesota has won 4. 12 of the last 14 NFC North titles. Think about that. Only the Bears have 2. But the Packers 8 division titles. The Vikings 4, the Bears 2. The Lions still trying to get there. And including the postseason, Green Bay is 16-10-1 against Minnesota with Rodgers as their starting quarterback. 16-10-1. Remember, they got a couple of wins in the season in which Anthony Barr busted up the shoulder of Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers is second to Brett Favre, who is 17-15-1 for the most wins as a starting quarterback. As he led the Packer to a wins over the Vikings, including the postseason. And think about this. Rodgers, including the playoffs, has 57 touchdowns and only 7 interceptions with a passer rating of 110.2 against the Vikings. That's the highest of any opposing starting quarterback against Minnesota. Russell Wilson has a 105 quarterback rating, and Drew Brees has a 100 quarterback rating. Rodgers basically, for as much as we talk about him owning the Chicago Bears, Rodgers owns the Minnesota Vikings when it comes to throwing the football. 56 touchdown passes during the regular season, the most in NFL history against the Minnesota Vikings. Favre has 54, by the way. So just a tidbit there for you. Just a little information. Coming up after the top of the hour, we're going to talk with Bill Huber. Bill is with Sports Illustrated. We had him on the program numerous times as the Packers take to the practice field today. And I think the questions going into this game, if you want to say what to look for, now we're going to do a little bit of this tomorrow as well, but what to look for in the contest coming up this weekend. I think one, obviously the question marks at the offensive line position. Obviously, Alan Lazard, will he be coming back? Because he was out of practice last week and some of the workouts earlier this week. And then, you're obviously, I think all of our eyes are on the wide receiving core and special teams, the two areas that have had the most discussion this offseason. Obviously, you want to see this defense. The defense is going to get challenged early and often in this contest with Dalvin Cook and company. And then you go with Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, and such. But the defense, while it's going to get tested, the offense, I think we're all kind of, sitting back with our own arms folded somewhat sketchily saying, okay, show me something, because we didn't get a chance to see the starters in the regular season. And then now that the depth issues have been cured via the roster cuts, show me something when it comes to the special teams. I think that's where we're at. So there you have it. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. Bill Huber is coming up. It's coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Last night we see the Milwaukee Brewers blow a 5-run lead and lose 10-7 in 10 innings to the Colorado Rockies. Starting pitcher Brandon Woodruff allowed just 1 run on 2 hits through 7 innings, was pulled before the 8th, sitting at 91 pitches, and that's when things would unravel for the Brewers. The crew now sits 8.5 games behind the Cardinals for first place in the NL Central and 3 games back of Philadelphia and San Diego for the final 2 wildcard spots in the NL. Milwaukee and Colorado will close out the series this afternoon. First pitch is set for 2:10. To the NFL, the Packers are inching closer to start their season as they travel to U.S. Bank Stadium to take on the Vikings in Minnesota. Linebacker Devondre Campbell talks on facing the NFC North rivals.
Yeah, they are some talented players, even at the quarterback position. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. He knows how to get the ball out of his hands quick, so it's going to be a tough challenge, especially with a new offense. We don't really know what to expect, so we just got to go out, read our keys, and just play ball.
Kickoff is Sunday at 3:25.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
When a company only does business in Wisconsin, that's Wisconsin Strong. Rural Mutual provides all lines of insurance, including commercial, farm, home, and auto. And your premiums stay right here to keep Wisconsin strong. Local agents, local underwriters, local claims adjusters.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Wisconsin football coming off a 38-0 victory over Illinois State will welcome in Washington State to Camp Randall on Saturday. New offensive coordinator Bobby Ingram says their offense needs to be balanced.
I think you have to have it all. I think you have to be balanced. This game played out in a certain way. Who knows how this game on Saturday will play out. As an offense, you have to be able to throw the ball short, intermediate, and deep. The number one thing is do what you need to do to get the win.
Kickoff is Saturday at 2:30. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
they're healthy. They've added pieces rather than losing pieces, but it'll be something. I think Quay Walker, talk about before, Bill, he's a real X factor. These guys have run more dime defense than any team in the league over the last couple of years. But with Quay Walker, they don't have to do that anymore, and they barely did any of it in training camp. This isn't like rocket science here. It's easier to stop the run with 240-pound linebackers rather than just one, right? So I think the addition of Quay Walker helps you Come on, take care.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later. There you go. There you go. Bill Huber joining us on the line from SI. And he kind of gives us a lowdown on what he thinks the Green Bay Packers may or may not be doing this coming weekend. He seems to have a lot of faith in the wide receiving core, though, to just say, hey, it's just going to be a work in progress. They're going to spread it around. It's not really going to become detrimental. It's just a matter of who is going to emerge. And then, obviously, the interview with Tyler Dunn, who we have on the program today, of Go Long. He said that Zadarius Smith, very upset how he was treated in Green Bay at the end, specifically signed with the Vikings so he can extract revenge on the Green Bay Packers twice a year. He said, walking past me, not saying anything like, Z, how's your back doing? There was none of that. Smith said in his interview with Pro Football Talk as well, as you can see, that adds on to why I'm on the other side. So I can go back there. I get to go back 2 times a year. I put my back on the effing line. I put in everything. And that year 3, I was treated bad. That's why I'm here now, so I can play them twice a year, from Zadarius Smith. So we'll see how he ends up getting his revenge, if at all, coming up in the game coming up this Sunday. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin isn't snobby, snooty, or pretentious. It's Midwestern charm at its finest. And that's exactly what Forgotten Fire Winery in Peshtigo is all about. Fun in a bottle without the attitude. You can find their full wine and cider lineup in their tasting room or in liquor and grocery stores throughout the state. The winery is a great place to get away for wine and cider tastings, great live music, and private events all year long. Remember, any time is a great time for Forgotten Fire wines and ciders. Wisconsin wine made from Wisconsin people.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Place in Waukesha. If you're in the Waukesha area, west of Milwaukee, you're looking for some good Italian food, family food. That's our friends over there at Albanese's, where I believe the fall version of bocce ball is getting ready to get underway. I did not see them out there a couple of weeks ago, and I was kind of concerned, and then I realized that the bocce ball league had ended. So they are now taking team signups for fall ball, if you will, the bocce ball league. But in addition to that, fun place to go just to get some really good food, couple of beverages, sit in the sports bar, watch a Packers game or any other game for that matter. Good friends over there at Albanese's. Albanese's Roadhouse on Blue Mountain Road next to Menards, right there on across from Home Depot on Blue Mountain Road. Good stuff. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to find us, feel free to go ahead and give us a shout. We certainly appreciate it. As always, in many different facets. You can always find us also on Instagram, The Real Bill Michaels. You can find us on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, or the email, thebillmichaels@gmail.com, which, by the way, a couple of the, not so much an email here, but the week one lines. The NFL week one, you got the Thursday night game. Thursday night game's a good one. Buffalo and the Rams. And Buffalo in Los Angeles, which that's not a bad way to kick off the season. The game opened with Buffalo given a point, and the total is somewhat unchanged, but it's 2.5 now. In the meantime, coming up on Sunday, Baltimore favored over the Jets, New Orleans favored over the Falcons, Patriots coming in as the underdogs on the road against Miami. I'll tell you what, you talk about a crap show. Ben, have you been following the saga in New England at all? With everything going on, with the question about whether or not they were going to have an offensive coordinator, and Bill Belichick won't tell anybody anything. It's like really weird, man.
So when I was on vacation, I was out in Vermont, and my whole family is from Boston, huge Patriot fans, and they were trying to explain it to me. I just cannot fathom having Matt Patricia there, where if he's going to be your OC, why do you bring him back?
Right?
Didn't we learn with him in Detroit that it probably won't work?
Right? It just never made sense. And let's be honest, he wasn't that good calling plays. He was more of a defensive-minded guy. I guess just Bill Belichick thinks he can do everything. And you know what? I'll give him credit. You know, and the reason why is because I didn't think Mac Jones would be much of anything. And then Mac Jones turned out to be a pretty good quarterback last year. You know, he had a pretty good season. He really opened some eyes down the stretch when they started winning ball games. Now, certainly when they needed him most, he kind of fell by the wayside. But for the most part, Mac Jones had a pretty good season. I was impressed the way that all came together. So now we'll see if, and maybe Bill Belichick got somewhat of a, I don't know how he can get an inflated ego. The guy's got rings coming out of his pants pockets, but maybe he got a little bit of an inflated ego out of that and just thinks he doesn't need anybody. He can do everything himself.
Isn't that what this year feels like? Kind of his tour of, okay, I did it with Brady. You guys gave him credit. Now I'm going to defy every piece of conventional wisdom and do it all backwards to show you that I'm still the best.
Right. Well, didn't last year show you that Bill Belichick has it? You know, it kind of did. It validated him because he took a team that was not supposed to be that good with a new quarterback who was thought of as being, you know, okay, and made him relevant. I thought it was, you know, out of everything he's ever done, I thought maybe last year might have been one of his best coaching performances because he wasn't supposed to do anything last year and he did. And so I thought that was tremendous. This year, it's like he's it's almost like he's wrapping his arms around the organization like a little kid, grabbing it and pulling it away, going, no, it's mine. And just telling everybody, leave me alone. I'll be fine without you. I don't need anybody. It's I don't know. It's just weird. But yeah, you talk about a saga. Man, the Patriots. We'll see how that all turns out. Meanwhile, you got Cleveland and Carolina. Now Carolina is 2-point favorites. You talk about an interesting game because Baker Mayfield, the revenge game. Do you think Cleveland takes a loss in their opener with a decent defense, an okay offense, weird quarterback situation, obviously, against Baker Mayfield, who is out to extract all kinds of ass revenge on the Cleveland Browns? That's going to be an interesting game. Pittsburgh opening up with Mitch Trubisky in Cincinnati. Cincinnati 6.5-point favorites there. San Francisco 7-point favorites on the road in Chicago. Your Philadelphia Eagles only 4-point favorites against the Detroit Lions going into Detroit. How you feeling about that game? What's your strength there, Ben?
That's a sneaky tough one. Well, they've become my Detroit Lions after watching Hard Knocks. My adopted little brother team. Oh, yeah. I just want to root for them. They have a lot of likable guys. But it's a scary game, honestly. And the Eagles' whole mantra, I feel like, is similar to the Packers, where when all the national people are all over them and think they're going to be great, that's usually when it goes wrong. Mm-hmm. So for some reason, everybody in the national media is picking the Eagles to go to the playoffs, some even to the Super Bowl. And everyone there is sitting back being like, hold on. Like, this team still is limited at quarterback and didn't win a playoff game last year.
With everything that's gone on this offseason, the Washington Commanders are 3-point favorites over Jacksonville. I find that rather interesting. Good matchup of coaches, though, Doug Peterson and Ron Rivera. But I find that rather interesting. Trevor Lawrence needs to come out and prove to the world that he was worth that pick. Meanwhile, the Colts, 8-point favorites over the Houston Texans. Kansas City, 4.5-point favorites on the road against Arizona. Kyler Murray got paid. They gave him his gauge. The over and under is 53.5. And the game opened with Kansas City being 3-point favorites. And it's grown a little bit since then. The Packers, oddly enough, are favored on the road against Minnesota. Okay. Which means they'd be favored by 4 at home. But that's an interesting pick. The Raiders taking on the Chargers. Raiders are 3-point underdogs in that game. On the road, even with Devontae Adams and this newly revamped team, they're underdogs. You got the Giants in Tennessee, the Titans 5.5-point favorites. Tampa Bay on the road in Dallas. Could that be the first nail in the coffin for Mike McCarthy this season, as Tampa Bay comes in at 2-point favorites? And then the Monday night game, the Denver Broncos 6.5-point favorites. Don't think this scheduling result happened by accident. Taking on with Russell Wilson, the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. Denver coming in at 6.5-point favorites.
Speaking of Dallas, Bill, did you see what Jerry Jones said yesterday?
No.
And I quote, I wasn't able to find the audio. The exact quote is, well, let me just address the first way you stated the question without any issue. But I have to believe that 1 + 1 is 3. I can't operate where 1 + 1 is 2. Then he goes on to blabber on about crap for another 5 minutes.
What? Read that again.
The whole quote is quite extensive, but he pretty much says, I have to believe that 1 + 1 is 3. I can't operate where 1 + 1 is 2. Now, we all know it is physically, but the 3 is where you have to go. Now you have the optimism to operate out in that world and commit and do things when you count on 1 and 1 being 3 instead of 2.
What the hell is he talking about?
He's trying to talk about optimism, where instead of it being the normal Cowboys, we have to, expect more. But the delivery was quite poor.
Yeah, that'll make people question your competency. That's bananas right there. Jerry, how old is Jerry now? He's getting up there. Jerry's always been kind of looked like Jerry, and now you can start
79.
to see, I was going to say he's getting up there. Now Jerry is starting to show a little bit of age. Starting to show a little bit older. Yeah,
Speaking of having work done in the past, there also is big rumblings around the NFL world that Tom Brady and Giselle are on horrible terms and are not currently, physically together.
I wonder why. We all assumed that was part of the issue when he said he took some time off. I got to wonder if she did not want him to play and he wanted to play. Like the competitive juice, it's interesting. There was a conversation I had one time and it talked about greats. And it's not until you physically realize you just can't play anymore or somebody rips the ball out of your hand that you walk away. And Brady, coming off of a year in which he threw for more than 5,000 yards, he still was competitive. He still looked really good. But after 23 seasons in the NFL, I got to wonder if she's saying, I don't want to do this anymore. And he's saying, I still want to play. And so again, he basically leaves for, the 6-7 month period and says, I'm off to play football. I got it because I know that whole thing came with he wanted to retire after talking it over with his family. He didn't say, I feel like I can't play anymore. He said, I after talking it over with my family, because I went back and listened to that. And I thought to myself, I wonder if she said, enough, you're done. And then he said, I can't give it up. I got to go back. And then she said, you go back. That's it. So he took a little time off during training camp to try to smooth things over. But I mean, I don't know. I'm only speculating here. But yeah, you just kind of wonder. When he said it, after talking it over with my family, which we all know is the wife, I just got to wonder if she just said enough. So I don't know. Wait and see. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break. Stay tuned. Got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up this portion of the program. If you're looking for hockey action as the fall begins to creep in, our friends at the Milwaukee Admirals remind you good hockey action on the horizon for the 2022-23 season. If you're looking for tickets, group outings, fun nights, promotional nights, that's the Admirals. Go to MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. That is MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
So oh, by the way, this was from Art, who said, see you at Mason's Pub tonight. I got a bet for you. Can't wait to see you tonight. See you there. So Mason's Pub in Kenosha. Pat McAfee's joining. Is this permanent, or is this just part of, with Pat McAfee going to the ESPN College Game Day? No, full-time member. I wonder how much they're paying him for that. Kind of crazy. But Pat McAfee has built a brand, man. Big time. Built a brand. A caller said, what about Brady returning not to share the stage with Big Ben? Nah. Brady, when Brady retires, it would be kind of like, hell, I don't know. I don't even know how to put it. Brady is the show. Big Ben would not want to retire to share the stage with Brady, not vice versa, because Brady would be the show. You know what I mean? Brady's the man. Most decorated, winningest, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Brady would be the show. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I often wondered, let's say, Brady retires next year, then, because Rodgers, I don't think wants to share the stage with Brady as much as he likes and respects Brady. I think even Rodgers would say, nah, I want to go in, kind of on my own. Not with Brady alongside, because again, he would own it. He would own that stage. But I can't imagine Brady backing down from retiring because of that. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, do it. This one's from Jason, who says that he believes Alan Lazard is going to be the primary target for Aaron Rodgers, but Rodgers is going to have to adapt because Lazard is going to get injured throughout the season. He is not able to stay healthy consistently, much like Randall Cobb, so somebody else is going to have to be the counterpart. I think Romeo Doubs is the most likely candidate, although Christian Watson certainly showed some promise and flashes later on in camp. What about Samori Toure? Does he get many snaps? The other guy you're leaving out is Amari Rodgers. Amari Rodgers, the way they've used him in both wide receiving capabilities, slot capabilities, and then because he's more slot than he is a wide out, and then kind of like the Deebo Samuel, where they've got him in the backfield, they've got him, running wheel routes, end arounds, things like that. Then, what about Amari Rodgers? The bottom line is this: there's only so many snaps and so many balls to go around. And the other guy you failed to mention 100% is Sammy Watkins. And again, another guy between Lazard, Watkins, and Cobb. You got a lot of injuries that normally plague these three guys that happen right there, which would leave you then with another front line of wide receivers of Doubs, Watson, Amari Rodgers. And if you want to throw Torrey into the mix, okay. But, you are really, that probably more than anything is what could derail the Green Bay Packers is not maybe the ability of guys to catch the football or to get open, but more so the guys that consistently get hurt. When you start stacking guys that are injury plagued, we'll say, I don't want to say injury prone. I think that's an erroneous statement, because if a guy rolls up on your knee, that's nothing you did or nothing your body gave out on. It just is what it is. But when things happen and guys tend to be in the wrong place at the wrong time or just get injured, I don't want to say prone, but yeah, you're stacking your relative success on guys that can't stay healthy or haven't stayed healthy in the past. So I would agree with you there. This one's from Dawn. Dawn says, hey, Unit, are you going to be in Green Bay a week from Sunday? We're all heading up for a big Packer tailgate party. Boo the Bears. We'll be there. Mike Clemens will be there. I'll be there. We'll have the whole Green and Gold postgame show. We got a new location this year, an undisclosed location. We're actually in a house a block away from Lambeau Field. We have been given a house to do the postgame show. I'm excited about that. I think it needs a bit of an internet upgrade, but we are in a house, and I'm excited because it's down the street. It's a quick jaunt, if you will. Get there early, set up the equipment, throw the backpack over the shoulder, walk in, turn it on. You're good to go. Love it. Stone's throw away from our guy Mike Clemens, who's going to be inside the bowels of Lambeau Field, just like years past. The Green and Gold postgame show, we will be airing live from the Ewing Hotel in Minneapolis this Sunday. Mike inside the bowels of U.S. Bank Stadium. I will be on display like a monkey flinging feces inside the front conference center that is the Ewing Hotel. Beautiful hotel. We were up there earlier this year and did the show right across from, I think it's the strip. What was it? Was it Deja Vu, the strip club? The Gentleman's Club, as we'll say, Ben. Wasn't that the name of the place, if you remember?
Oh, I wouldn't remember. I thought you would.
I think that was the name of it. I know it was a big pink awning, but that's where we're going to be.
Well, you can go in to see if anything's changed in the last couple months.
Nah, not going to the club. Actually, an odd note, Mike is going up, I think, on Friday night. And if not sooner, I'm not leaving until early Sunday morning because the game is later on in the afternoon. So I'm leaving here about 4:35 in the morning on Sunday morning to go up because I got some business I got to take care of here in Milwaukee. But yeah, I'm going up early on Sunday morning. Regardless, we're going to be there. And then Sunday night after the show, heading over to Chippewa Falls into the Eau Claire area, and then from there to La Crosse, and from there to Tomahawk. And I can't wait. Looking forward to it. And that's really our last big trip because I'll be on the road, I think, 8 days because I had to pay the house sitter for 9 days. So, yeah. Let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. Stay tuned. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Gina Della from Pella here. Wayne Larrabee and his wife Julie took advantage of our wide range of beautiful wood designs that can be painted, stained, or unfinished to complement any decor.
We have a lot of windows in this house. You match the craftsmanship of the woodwork around those windows to a T. That's a talented group of people doing that.
We like our wood tones, and so the ability to have wood tone some places and the white windows others, it worked really well for us and allowed us to have exactly what we wanted.
Pella's team of expert installers always provides service of the highest quality, starting with an in-home consultation and ending with no hassle or mess, leaving nothing but perfect results that stand the test of time. We have the best wood warranty in the industry to prove it. There's no reason to wait any longer because right now, put no money down, make no payments, and be charged 0 interest for up to 24 months. At Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Get started today at PellaWI.com.
Expires 9/30/2022. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers are getting ready to face the Vikings Sunday at U.S. Bank Stadium. Green Bay lost a close one there last November, 34-31 on a walk-off field goal. Were the Vikings the better team that day? Packers inside linebacker Devondre Campbell.
No, they just played better than we did that day. It happens. It's the NFL, you know. Like, sometimes you just get outplayed.
The Packers drafted Quay Walker in the first round. They signed Rasul Douglas and Jair Alexander to new contracts in the secondary. Campbell was asked if the Packers defense comes in a little bit overhyped.
I mean, there's not really much hype. We just got to go out and do what we do. We know how good we can be, but it doesn't matter about he say, she say. We just got to go out and show it.
The Vikings return with weapons like Delvin Cook and wide receiver Justin Jefferson, Minnesota's Adam Thielen on the NFL Network on what they see from Green Bay's defense.
They have guys on the outside that are aggressive. They have a lot of guys mixing in that they kind of keep them fresh and healthy. They have some veterans, too, that have played a lot of football, so they understand the game. They understand route concepts, things like that. So they have a lot of guys that have a lot of experience in this league, and it's going to be a good challenge for us. So we're excited about that. We know that it's going to be there's no easy games in this league, and especially when you're playing Aaron Rodgers and obviously, like you said, a new and improved defense.
That's Vikings wide receiver Adam Thielen. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back. Our friends over at the Newmount Medical Center reminding you they can help you out, all but guaranteeing the fact that they can help you out with ED, erectile dysfunction. They've got a 98% success rate. See Doc Tim and the staff. They're fantastic people. And if you don't go to the one in Milwaukee, that's fine. Any location, one phone number, 414-455-4451. But by the way, don't ask me. I get people all the time that come up and say, hey, and they look around like they're robbing a bank. Hey, and they start talking to me about it. I have no idea what's going to help you. I know what they do. Talk to them. It works. It works. I've been told that the ED treatments are fantastic. I've done the low T. I've done the all-in-one weight loss program. Those both work, so I would not have any reason not to believe that the other stuff wouldn't work. Good people over there. Just call them. 414-455-4451. Again, 414-455-4451. That is the Newmount Medical Center. Coming up after the top of the hour, the guy that wrote the article, our buddy Tyler Dunn is back, and through golongtd.com, he talked to Zadarius Smith. We're going to get that side of things when he joins us coming up here in just a few. So hold tight for that. Also today, you got Matt LaFleur is going to be speaking. Aaron Rodgers is going to be speaking. So we hope to have you some of that a little bit later on in the show as well. So that's all coming up. Real quick, this is from Jim. Jim says, great show. I'm going to be over in Minneapolis. Where do you suggest eating? Well, there's two places. One, if they're open, depending on what time you get there, Zantigo's. You go to the low end of the spectrum. I grew up on it. I love it. You better believe I'm going to grab me some at some point. The other side of the spectrum is a little more expensive, and I don't even know if they'd have a reservation available at this point. But Manny's Steakhouse. Either one, you can't go wrong. Either one. Love both places. But if you're going to go to Manny's, man, you You got to be you got to be heading you got to be making that reservation now, just so you know. And who knows, you might see Paul Charchian in the gang there. Charch is there all the time. This is from Sally. Sally says, I hear you every now and then mention Andy Griffith. Are you a member of the Andy Griffith fan club? No, I'm not. Goofy question, but no, I'm not. I appreciate that. Oh, that's funny. So let's do this. We're going to break. We're going to come back. Tyler Dunn, golongtd.com, going to be joining us. We'll talk with him about his interview with Zadarius Smith and how much anxiety, angst, anger, revenge does he have on his mind coming up this Sunday at U.S. Bank Stadium when the Green Bay Packers come rolling in now that he's man of the purple. We'll talk with him about that coming up. Stay tuned. A whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers are back to work today to continue prepping for Sunday's season opener at Minnesota. We're going to see a familiar face on the other side of the line in linebacker Zadarius Smith. He was a Pro Bowler for Green Bay in his first 2 seasons before missing most of last year with a back injury. He told a reporter that his biggest reason for going to the Vikings was to be able to play the Packers twice a year, saying that he felt he was treated poorly last season. Meanwhile, we're also going to get our first look at an injury report today. All eyes on the statuses of David Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins, and Alan Lazard. Kick on Sunday, set for 3:25. Turning to the Badgers, they're going to face Washington State this Saturday. Last week, the headliner in the run game, Braylon Allen, but Ches Malusi also provided a spark with 48 yards in his first game back from a torn ACL. Here's offensive coordinator Bobby Ingram.
I think he's worked really hard to get himself back. He's running physical. He's running with his pads, down, and he's running confident. I like our running backs. It's a very competitive room and a very talented room. I think there's a healthy balance of competition and cooperation in there. Those guys love ball, and they all love to touch it. So that's good for us, and I think they drive each other to be great.
Kick on Saturday is set for 2:30.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Well, the Brewers blew a 6-1 lead in the final 2 innings last night, fell 10-7 to Colorado. Rockies scored 5 runs in the 8th and then got a walk-off homer in the 10th. It leaves Milwaukee 3 games out of the final wildcard spot. The team's going to close out the series this afternoon. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Joining us on the hotline, Tyler Dunn from golongtd.com, and you can find him at Tyler Dunn over there on Twitter. Tyler, how you been, pal?
What's up, Bill? How have you been? Everything's good here. Down in down in Jacksonville, Florida for a few days. So, bopping all over the country here.
What are you working on in Jacksonville?
It's always a fascinating team this time of year, right? There's a little hope in the air. They've got a young quarterback, a veteran coach. They're trying to take that quarterback to the next level. It's a theme we see across the league where it can kind of go one direction or the other. So they're feeling pretty good about Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson and that union down here.
So I want to get into the story that you got with Zadarius Smith, and first thing I wanted to ask was because the tone of the story versus what I heard out of him the other day in the media session, two different tenors, I guess, and maybe I could be reading too much into it, but give me the veracity with which he feels, say, the revenge factor for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, so we chatted. It was a while ago. It would have been June, like toward the end of OTAs, and he was obviously, if people read the story, and I encouraged them to do so, go along TD.com for our subscribers. Unbelievably honest, open. We haven't heard from him, right? I mean, he didn't have to speak with reporters, and the team wasn't saying much about his back situation and why he wasn't playing last year. So it seemed like everybody was trying to piece together the puzzle via Instagram posts or, maybe a rumor heard here, a rumor heard there, and nobody really knew what was up. And this is an all-pro player. This is one of your, linchpin foundational pieces. Just screaming off that edge. There weren't many better than Zadarius Smith, those two back-to-back seasons. So, I just thought it was a good opportunity to learn a little bit. Let's hear from him. Let's get his side of the story on what went down. And he was honest. He was open. And as he said, that's why he is in Minnesota. And there's a lot that goes into it, right? It's no secret. I mean, he was going to sign with Baltimore. That fell through. Goes to Minnesota. But now that he's a Viking, he absolutely cannot wait to play the Packers, as he put.
Did he tell you why the deal in Baltimore fell through?
That's one of those topics I wish we had a little bit more time. I was hoping we'd catch up again to go down that road, but unfortunately we didn't. We talked a lot about the Packers, a lot about the Vikings, and his upbringing a touch as well. So, yeah, unfortunately, I wish we got more on that, but I think it would have been, one of those two teams, right? I mean, he loved Baltimore. His mentor was Charles Suggs. I think that, that familiarity definitely helped, but for whatever reason, falls through, goes to Minnesota, and take him at his word, the team at their word. He's healthy. His back's good. He had as he put, a quote unquote, like bulge. He kind of described it as a bulging disc in his back, shaved down. And he believes, year 8, whatever it is, that he's still in peak performance, that he can still be that presence that he was in Green Bay. I mean, it's crazy. It wasn't that long ago. He was in Green Bay with that free agent class, changing everything we thought about that defense and getting to the NFC Championship game. So if it works out for Minnesota, huge if, health and age, and, let's see how it all comes together. But if it works out, I mean, not only did you add somebody that can get 13, 14 sacks and 50, 60 pressures, but you're taking that presence away from the team you have to get past. So much of this rivalry kind of traces back to Zadarius Smith and what he can do at this point of his career.
So other than just not talking to him in the hallways, he kind of made the statement that he just didn't feel like he was treated very well. Was it something that happened? Because he made it sound like, something happened in the weight room when he was working out, getting ready for the season. And then the disc happened, and all of a sudden he was almost ostracized. Is that a good way to put it?
That's the perfect way to put it. If you take him at his word, he wasn't upset about contract stuff. And, we all saw the tweet after the captains were announced. He's told me that that wasn't the source of his frustration, his anger, that it all came back to the Packers wanting him to play and Zadarius Smith wanting to have surgery. I mean, he went out there, had the procedure done by the same person who fixed up Rob Gronkowski, fixed up Jason Pierre-Paul. That was early in both of their careers, and they ended up having long careers. So, he didn't want surgery. He said that he heard that word. It's like, whoa, what the hell? Surgery on my back? And we all hear back surgery, in life. And God, it just scares you to death. But, they told me, we're going to shave this down. And he made that decision to do it. It sounds like the team wasn't happy with it. And let's not forget, I mean, he did play. He came back in the playoffs. Like if they win against San Francisco, right? If the special teams doesn't do what it does, and if the offense can produce anything. I mean, that defense did enough to win. He had a sack that game. He wanted to play. He wanted to put his back on the line at that point, and he did for the games that mattered, and they lost. So it's just great. I mean, there's so many different ways to look at it. I mean, it seems like Packer fans are very emotional about hearing from Zadarius Smith. I get it. You know, we've seen this play out with Greg Jennings, Brett Favre. It's not the first time somebody went from Green Bay to Minnesota, but that's what makes sports fun. I mean, it's all about this stuff. I mean, I don't want to see jersey swaps. I don't want to see everybody hugging and loving. I mean, this is why we love football. The Packers and the Vikings going at it with a player who was at one team, you know, help change that culture, help change that defense, and now he's trying to do it in Minnesota. If you love football, this game is for you.
The question I have, and the Packers notorious for being very much on the side of the player when it comes to their health and well-being. And I would love to know, and I don't know if this question came up or not, I would love to know if he was just told by Doc McKenzie, you know what, just take a few weeks off, it'll be fine. Because McKenzie, as we all know, is an unbelievably cautious doctor. And instead, he sought the second opinion to say, no, you got to get surgery.
That's a great point, Bill. I mean, that was one of the first thoughts that crossed my mind, too. I mean, we've seen it with several players on the Packers being cautious, being conservative. And for whatever reason, there was a big disagreement behind the scenes. And I doubt the Packers are just going to come out at press conferences and say, all right, play-by-play, you know, here's went down. I mean, and you see this everywhere. It's injuries in football. It's such a personal situation where only the player really knows what they're feeling, can really weigh out their options in terms of long-term security for their families, for themselves. And hey, I'll admit, look, I tend to be pro player in most situations. These are the guys out there, you know, risking their brains, jiggling around in a skull, and they could be affected 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road playing this game. I mean, there's nothing like this in the world, playing professional football. So yeah, it was making a lot of money. Yeah. But guess what? This is personal health, the personal decision. And I will never, ever fault the guy for looking out for his health. Right. We look at some of these players down the line.
Yeah, well, we all saw him in the game one, too.
It's a delicate situation.
We all saw him in game one. He was not effective in game one of the season. He clearly looked like something was wrong. I just find it, you know, interesting if the Packers just thought that he needed some rest versus a second or third opinion that said, no, you got to do surgery, and then the option to do that. But that to me should not draw the shunning, so to speak, as he described in the hallways of 1265. On the other hand, the Green Bay Packers going into Minneapolis, look, this is the second time in the history that they've actually gone into Minneapolis week one. This is going to be an incredibly hostile environment, an amped up environment. Zadarius Smith is amped up. The Packers coming in without Devontae Adams and a lot of question marks about the offense. Neither side really played a lot of starters. Both have question marks. Give me your thoughts on this contest come Sunday.
You know what? I think we'll put out some season predictions at go along, and I'm going to pencil the Packers in for the Super Bowl. I love how they rebuilt this team. You had to change something up, right? I mean, we've seen them bash their heads against the wall every January. So, yeah, you lose Devontae Adams. You know, try to drag teams out into the back alley and beat the hell out of them for a change. I just love how they kind of built from the inside out and really doubled down there. But week one, as they're trying to figure out this offense and yeah, I mean, how these weapons are all going to kind of fit together. You're on the road. That crowd in Minnesota is going to be nuts. You know, we have a big series up on how Kevin O'Connell has kind of moved beyond the Mike Zimmer days, which were uglier than most think. I think it's going to be tough for Green Bay in this singular game. I mean, they lost their last year. They've had some trouble there in the past. So I'd almost maybe lean Vikings for this game, but over the long haul, I think Green Bay kind of figures it out as the season goes along, and they're in good shape when they need to be.
I'm 100% with you. I don't have a good feeling about this game. It's not that I would be shocked if the Packers came out and just rolled offensively. But to me, I think what we're not talking about is the challenge of all the weaponry that the Vikings have to put pressure on a defense that not only played well last year, but has been upgraded. And for the starting 11, the starting 12 is extremely good. And I want to see what the Vikings are capable or not capable of doing in the first real test for this defense and seeing all these guys on the field for the very first time.
No doubt. I mean, let's not forget how things started last year. in Jacksonville,
Right.
where I'm at right now, against New Orleans. Who would have thought that was a team that get the number 1 seed and win 13 games again and look like they looked by November, December? I think that Matt LaFleur, Brian Gutekunst, and even Aaron Rodgers, they know it's a marathon. They know it's going to be ugly for a bit. You're incorporating a lot of young receivers. You're working Bakhtiari back. You're working in some rookies on defense. But in the long haul, personnel-wise, I think they're set up to win how you have to win that time of year. We're all obsessed with the quarterbacks and shootouts. And, hey, that 13 seconds game at Arrowhead, hey, that was fun. It was a good time to watch. But look at how these games are really won in the playoffs. You still need to be physical. You still need to punch a team in the mouth. And too many years the Packers just haven't had that kind of personnel. And it seems like overall they do, even though this whole Zadarius Smith thing went south fast.
So give me your thoughts on some of the bigger storylines around the NFL, because I wanted to get into you with this as well, because obviously, will Cincinnati be able to even get back to the playoffs with the jinx that it is? If you lose the Super Bowl, you tend not to find your way back to the playoffs. Can LA repeat? Will Tom Brady be all of that in the bag of chips? Is Mike McCarthy fired at the end of the season? The quarterback situation, obviously, in Cleveland, we followed all offseason. I mean, give me some of the other storylines you're looking at.
Those are the juicy ones. Start there with Cincinnati. No, we're not talking about this team nearly enough. I get it. The Bills are the Super Bowl favorite. They've got the MVP favorite. Everybody in Western New York where I live is going bonkers for this team and can't wait. It's weird. I mean, everybody at NFL Network picked them to win the Super Bowl. But Cincinnati's got to be sitting there saying, what the hell? We're the team that turned Patrick Mahomes into a pile of putty in that second half where he couldn't do anything. I mean, his quarterback rating was 12 in the second half. So give me those DBs. Give me Tidabe Awuzie and, heck, even Eli Apple, Von Bell. They get Jesse Bates back. This is a group in the secondary that knows how to take on these pyrotechnic offenses. I mean, there's the arms race in the AFC was unprecedented. So give me the secondary that's proven that they can shut that down or at least contain all these weapons. I think Cincinnati can break that curse. They've got the quarterback, obviously, and barring injury, they're really good up front on the offensive line. They should be. I mean, they retooled that whole group. It's weird to me. Maybe it's a small market team. Maybe it's history. We should be just writing off these Super Bowl losers. But I think the Cincinnati Bengals, they're in that game against Green Bay in the Super Bowl right now in my book.
Good stuff as always, Tyler. They can read your stuff at golongtd.com. Find you on at Tyler Dunn over on Twitter as well. Anything else that's intriguing that we need to know about coming up?
Hey, you know what? For all the Packer fans out there, Bob McGinn is back with us for this season. So he's got like a minimum 10-part series wrapping up his 43 years of studying the tape, covering the Packers. The first part's up today for subscribers. So, yeah, check it out. It's kind of cool looking back and really seeing how special a guy like Sterling Sharp was, for example. I think a lot of folks out there in Wisconsin will like that.
Good stuff as always, pal. We'll talk to you again soon, okay?
Thanks so much, Bill. Always appreciate you.
All right, buddy. There you go. Tyler Dunn. golongtd.com, at Tyler Dunn over on Twitter. Find his stuff there. Really good stuff and some interesting thoughts coming out of Zadarius Smith, who just last week when he met with the media and we heard a lot of his comments, he wasn't going to, kind of dance, so to speak, on the fact that he's a Minnesota Viking and that he's coming after the Green Bay Packers, just saying he has a lot of respect for those guys and kept it kind of copacetic. And then you find out that, yeah, there is a little bit bubbling below the surface. He's got that little extra snarl. There's going to be, I'm not going to say that he's hitting Aaron Rodgers to take him out of the game, but there is going to be some oomph to his game and his fire and his adrenaline and his energy at US Bank Stadium come this Sunday. No doubt about it. Well, you know what? Good question, Ben. We'll ask this question when we come back in regards to Zadarius Smith. Good question. Stay tuned. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Pindell, a manufacturing and machining company right here in the state of Wisconsin in our own backyard. That is Pindell, Pindel.com. Pindell.com, and check them out. They're good people. And if you're looking for a career, not just a job, but a career, they're hiring and they pay well. They have great benefits and they educate you along the way. So if you want to even move on, build your own company, they're like, look, hey, the more the merrier and the bigger the better. And the better people they get, the better off they are. and they continue to grow. That's Pindell. Go to Pindell, Pindel.com, Pindell.com, right here in New Berlin, Wisconsin. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Present, then to call our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Go to PellaWI.com to the website or call them 855-PELLA-WI. No better window, no better entry door system. The patio doors are fantastic. And coming up here in a few weeks, actually, I'm going to do a video as they install my last patio door, the last window, the last thing to be replaced here in the home, and give you a good look at what it is they do. And just good people. Our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Just good stuff. But it makes your home more economical. It makes it more beautiful, more eye appealing, curb appeal, outdoor as far as the trim goes, indoor as far as the trim goes, different hardware, different types of windows, roll screens on the inside of the windows or outside blinds. I mean, just so many different options and so many different pricing options as well. Go to PellaWI.com and see for yourself what I've been talking about and what I enjoy every day. Every day. I mean, whether it's sliding out through the patio door, heading out to the tiki bar to grab a beverage right off of the kitchen, or, downstairs come this fall in the great room as the fires are built and it's nice and warm and toasty there because the new patio door got rid of the old metal door. So just regardless, I believe in them, and I've been promoting them for a long, long time. That's Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. PellaWI.com. That is PellaWI.com. Good stuff there. Let's do this. Couple of things I wanted to get to over in the email inbox. This one's from Joe. Joe says, this is Mark Antanasio's time to shine. He should step up to the plate. And then he's got in parentheses, pardon the pun. He said, I think that this team is doomed. The rest of the season is doomed. Let's just scrub it now and get it over with and begin working on 2023. I feel that the Brewers have an opportunity to make a few big deals, a few big trades to show the fans that they're doing something in the positive light. Joe, you want to blow it up? How are you going to blow it up? How are you going to blow it up? I don't know what to tell you. You can't just dump. You're not going to get much, if anything, for Christian Yelich. $4.99 or not, you're not going to at this point. I mean, you start with some of the bigger salaries. You figure out what you need, what you don't need, and then you kind of fill those spaces in. I think what you need to do more than anything is really pay attention, free agent market, and via trade in some way, shape, or form to fill some of the holes that have been glaring and we've been discussing for quite some time now. I mean, that's it. Let's go to Matt LaFleur at the podium right now. Can we do that, Ben? I think Matt.
Was that Donatello a 3-4 guy now? Has he been influenced with time with Fazio? And can you see? Do you anticipate that this Sunday?
Yeah, I would say so. I think you just look at his background. He's been a D coordinator in this league. Obviously, he was here, but he's been with Vic for a long time throughout the course of his career. So, you never quite know what to expect week one, but I would say if they go base defense, that would probably be their base. I'm sure we'll get some packages that have 3 outside backers on the field. We could potentially get, a 6-1 package. I don't know. That is the beauty, I think, with the system. It's very similar to our system. There's a lot of carryover there. I'm sure they'll have added their own wrinkles, but it definitely, from an offensive perspective, it gives you, it keeps you a little bit off balance because you're not quite sure what to expect in terms of how are they going to match personnel and whatnot.
We'll get an injury report today. What will Allen be listed at? What has he been dealing with?
He won't be listed at anything today, but he will be on the injury report we don't have to list today, do we?
He's practiced.
Yeah. So he will not be practicing today. He got stepped on last week, and so that's where we're at with him.
Is there a way to alleviate growing pains with an offense in the season opener? Is there like a tried and true method to that?
Alleviate growing pains?
Yeah.
No, I think it's just more or less you got to get out there and you got to do it. And I think one way to feel confident about what you're doing out there is having a great week of preparation so you can go play fast and free. And certainly there's challenges on both sides in regards to unscouted looks. And, every year's a new year in this league. So it's a lot of it is who can adjust the fastest and execute the best. And I think one thing just from my experience in this league is week one is always really amped up. And then you're talking about a North Division rival, a team that has incredible talent. I got a lot of respect for the coaches over there. I know a lot of those guys personally. And so I just think it's one of the most hostile environments that we play in every year. So hopefully our Packer fans will show up in droves and support us.
I don't suspect you're going to tell us, so I'm not asking it in that way, but do you know who your starting line is for Sunday?
Maybe.
Maybe, okay. I guess the reason I'm asking is, will those guys have enough reps together? I mean, it's one unit, obviously. Is there enough reps, do you think, for those guys to play as one?
There's never enough reps. So, but we feel good about our guys. Our guys are experienced, and we're going to put the best 5 out there and try to put them in the best position possible, however that may be, knowing that we're going up against a really good defensive line. They've got a couple great pass rushers. So, and then you add in the inability to probably hear on most of the snap counts. So it'll be a great test for our guys to see where we're at.
At least for the moment, your depth chart has Jenkins at right tackle if he's healthy enough. Helps he can play just about anywhere on the line. What do you like about him specifically there, or is it just a matter of getting the best 5 wherever you can?
You said it. I feel like I said this a lot of times, but however we can get our best 5 out there, we'll put them wherever we need. Certainly when you have a player of Elton's caliber, that frees you up and gives you a lot of flexibility to truly put the best 5 out there. So, but we'll see where it kind of goes as the week progresses.
Not to revisit last year's opener, we've talked about it, but having this year's opener be a divisional opponent, like you said, did that kind of cause you to reevaluate anything going into this opener? Because division games do carry a certain weight. And do you have a feeling for how prepared this team is going into week 1?
Yeah, no, we definitely put a ton of thought into that. And I think I've talked to you guys at length about it before in terms of just what is the right answer? Well, the right answer is whatever works. So I do think the majority of their guys, if you look at their roster, and they're in a similar spot as us. They didn't play the majority of their big time starters, and we didn't either. So it's going to be who can go out there and execute the best.
Did that 4 quarters practice that you had last week, did that maybe come from doing something different to keep them sharp?
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to get a feel kind of where we were from a conditioning standpoint and to test them mentally. And so there was a lot of great things that came from it. And then there was a lot of things that you're like, whoa, we better clean this up before our next game.
You want to share those things?
No.
Sammy said on Monday that you sort of tell, like in the off season, based on the vibe of the locker room, how far a team goes, and that this one feels special. Do you see that sense? And can you tell us early on?
Yeah, I think that's tough to say right now. I think that we feel really good about the people in the locker room, not only as football players, but as men. And I think we've had that, the whole time that I've been here. It's been a great locker room, and that's such a great credit to the men in that locker room, but also to Goody and his staff of bringing us, high character people, because it always starts with the people. And, I think that, you find out what you're all about in times of adversity. And we haven't faced a ton of adversity, in the 3 years here. So, I think as the season progresses, we'll find out where we're at.
Matt, does it feel any different than the previous 3 years? Does this team feel any different to you?
Yeah, it feels a lot different. I think every year is a new year, and certainly there's a lot of new faces, a lot of new coaches and new roles, responsibilities. And it absolutely feels different, but it's one that I feel confident in the guys in that locker room.
You guys know how disruptive Zadarius can be out there. What's the challenge of facing someone like that right out of the gate, and especially considering he might have some extra juice going up against his former team?
Yeah, I'm sure he will. He's one of the premier pass rushers in this league, and he's a challenge because he presents problems on the outside, and his versatility as a player where they can kick him inside and match him up over guards or centers or wherever they want to put him. He's an elite level player in this league. And anytime you're going up against that, and then you got Hunter on the other side from him potentially, and it causes for some reckless nights.
Matt, Zadarius said after his back injury last year, he was quote unquote treated badly here. I guess how did you view that? What respond to that?
Yeah, no, I think that, again, I respect the crap out of Z as a player. He busted his butt, did a lot of great things. I think we may have a different perspective of how things transpired. So I'll just leave it at that.
Have you announced the guys who the captains will be headed into week one? And if so, can you share them?
Yeah, no, we just took the votes today, and I'll let you guys know after I tell the team.
For you, what's week one like for you? I'm sure every game there's anxiety is probably a way overblown term, but I mean, there's a great unknown every week one, isn't there? What exactly you have, isn't there?
Yeah, I think so. But I think you just got to try to stay in the moment, enjoy it. It's exciting time. Certainly any chance you get to be a part of the National Football League is exciting. But when you talk about love going into a hostile environment like Minnesota and hear that annoying horn that they like to blow in the Skol chant, it creates for the team to really stay together. And it's kind of the guys on that sideline, the guys in that locker room versus the entire stadium. So hopefully it'll bring us even closer together.
How much of an additional challenge?
I don't know. We'll see if Joe McKillop has that plan for us.
How much of an additional challenge is it preparing for a week one when you're facing a new staff where maybe they have backgrounds, but it's still a JV? Does it make it any more difficult to prepare?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the tendency anyways is to overanalyze. And I know I've watched a lot of tape from different situations, and but at the end of the day, you got to kind of think back to some of the things that you do well. And ultimately it's about our players feeling confident in the plan and then going out there and executing. So whether it's offense, defense, or special teams, that's what we got to do. And it always comes back to you and the way you prepare. And hopefully you got enough adjustments, because there are going to be unscouted looks that come up within the course of week one. And it really, quite frankly, the first few weeks of the season. And you just got to be ready to adjust.
Two more, please. Matt, does it seem strange to you at all, or feel strange that you're the longest tenured coach now in the division, and I think there's only 3 in the conference that have been around, at least in their current spots, longer than you? No?
Not really. I haven't thought about it till now.
When you were
There you go. That's Matt LaFleur kind of winding things down in his presser from which is live, which is going on now. There's a couple of things there to nosh on when we come back. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others, time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine, a place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org. If you're in or near Humboldt, Wisconsin, check out a family success story with a good old-fashioned farm store. Go to ScholzieFamilyBeef.com. That's ScholzieFamilyBeef.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
You know, if you're going to be heading out this weekend, catching some of the games, you may want to do it in the afternoon or evening. Nice victory cigar in hand. Could be the Nice Ash, downtown Waukesha, Wisconsin, 323 West Main Street. Terrific place. Music on the weekends, entertainment Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But just a good, kind of relaxing place. Have a nice beverage, good cigar, hookah, either way, or nothing at all. Just go in and check out the atmosphere and some of the great people that go there. That's theniceash.com. Theniceash.com. So Matt LaFleur now talking about Obviously going into Minnesota. Some of the things that I guess came out of that one is he knows what the starting lineup is going to be for the offensive line. Won't tell us. Shocking news. Yeah, not happening. The second piece of this is he let it drop that Allen Lazard got stepped on last week, and that's the reason he will be at practice, but not practicing. But whether it's maybe an ankle sprain or something to that effect, we don't know. But he didn't elaborate. He won't tell us whether or not he believes he should be ready to go, but wants to give him a little more time to rest, but is not giving away any secrets at all. None. Zero. Zip. Nada. Also, which I had to nod my head and say right on, was when he said it's going to be a great atmosphere, US Bank Stadium, when they're blowing that, quote, annoying horn. Yeah. I hate that horn. I just do. I hate that horn. So, that being said, he also talked about, the atmosphere, the raucous, rowdy crowd. And he's hoping that Packers fans travel well, too, on this first game of the regular season. But Matt LaFleur will not announce the starting five up front. He will not say whether or not Allen Lazard will or will not go. Only the fact that he got stepped on. And then he did confirm that the horn at US Bank Stadium is annoying. There was some discussion about Zadarius Smith, obviously. This is what he had to say about Zadarius in the matchup.
Matt, Zadarius said after his back injury last year, he was quote unquote treated badly here. I guess, how did you view that? What respond to that?
Yeah, no, I think that, again, I respect the crap out of Z as a player. He busted his butt, did a lot of great things. I think we may have a different perspective of how things transpired. So I'll just leave it at that.
That's it. Respect him, but I'm going to leave it at that. Zadarius felt like he could have been talked to a little bit more, a little more concern could have been paid to his back and his situation. Instead, it was not. And that's one of the reasons he, to this day, carries the chip on his shoulder. So now we'll wait and see if all of that adrenaline, angst, anger, revenge, whatever you want to call it, is extracted upon the Green Bay Packers, or if the Packers are able to stave off the stalwart threat of Zadarius Smith. So there you have it. 877-867-1670. You want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. I know we went a little bit long in the last segment. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. Got a lot more to get to and some phone calls to get to as well. Don't forget our guys from Pro Football Focus coming up after the top of the hour. We'll get into that as well and talk a little bit, not only about the Green Bay Packers matchup, but we'll talk a lot about the matchup around Eric Eager from Pro Football Focus, around the rest of the NFL as well. The lines and such, the betting lines, all that kind of stuff. We're going to talk about that coming up after the top. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show. It's next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The days are getting shorter, but the racing continues at Road America through the middle of September. For all the information, go to roadamerica.com. That's roadamerica.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers back on the practice field getting ready for the Vikings. Matt LaFleur admits that, like other teams, they've been working on a game plan for Minnesota for a while now.
There's been a lot of things, I think, around the league. I'm sure there's a lot of game planning that's already kind of transpired prior to today, and I know we're kind of in that boat right now. So, it's definitely given us an opportunity to get a jump on some of the things we might want to do in a game.
The Vikings have a lot of new faces, a new GM, new coaches, new players. But Packers inside linebacker Devontae Campbell says the Vikings have got plenty of good players returning from last year's roster as well.
Yeah, they got some talented players, even at the quarterback position. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. He knows how to get the ball out of his hands quick. So it's going to be a tough challenge, especially with a new offense. We don't really know what to expect. So we just got to go out, read our keys, and just play ball.
The Vikings' new head coach, 37-year-old Kevin O'Connell, is trying to change the environment for his players, like shifting the practice schedule to match Sunday's kickoff at 3:25. Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins.
I think it was good today. We tried to simulate a halftime and, again, make it more like the real thing, I think was the focus, and that's what we tried to do. We were going to be at 3:25 today just to simulate what it would be. Ended up having some extra time, so moved it up.
That's the Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers are back to work today to continue prepping for Sunday's season opener at Minnesota. We're going to see a familiar face on the other side of the line in linebacker Zadarius Smith. He was a Pro Bowler for Green Bay in his first 2 seasons before missing most of last year with a back injury. He told a reporter that his biggest reason for going to the Vikings was to be able to play the Packers twice a year, saying that he felt he was treated poorly last season. Meanwhile, we're also going to get our first look at an injury report today. All eyes on the statuses of David Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins, and Alan Lazard. Kick on Sunday, Sept for 3:25. Turning to the Badgers, they're going to face Washington State this Saturday. Last week, the headliner in the run game, Braylon Allen, but Ches Malusi also provided a spark with 48 yards in his first game back from a torn ACL. Here's offensive coordinator Bobby Ingram.
I think he's worked really hard to get himself back. You know, he's running physical. He's running with his pads, down, and he's running confident. I like our running backs. It's a very competitive room and a very talented room. I think there's a healthy balance of competition and cooperation in there. Those guys love ball and they all love to touch it. So that's good for us. And I think they drive each other to be great.
Kick on Saturday is set for 2:30.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Well, the Brewers blew a 6-1 lead in the final 2 innings last night, fell 10-7 to Colorado. Rockies scored 5 runs in the 8th and then got a walk-off homer in the 10th. It leaves Milwaukee 3 games out of the final wildcard spot. The team's going to close out the series this afternoon. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heilprin.
For sure. That's our friends at Boondocks Barbecue, Burgers, and Brews. And you can go look them up online as well at Boondocks BBQS. Boondocks BBQs. Let's do this. Let's turn our sights to a little bit of betting. As apparently in the NFL, there is a massive shift on for more betting than ever in the NFL, apparently. And to talk more about it, our buddy Eric Eager, Pro Football Focus at PFF_Eric, joining us on the hotline. Eric, how you doing, pal?
Bill, I'm doing great. I'm excited for this weekend's game, and obviously border battle between the Packers and the Vikings.
So first of all, obviously the Packers favored only by a point in this game, so it's almost a pick 'em at US Bank Stadium. But I was reading an article this morning that said more money this year will be bet on the NFL than ever before. Is this because more entities are opening up and more people are getting into gambling? Or is it because there's more people that feel this is a sure thing in so many different sets? What is it that has become the mass machine, that is the money machine for the NFL and gambling?
Well, it's twofold. One is that states are becoming legalized, right? I know Wisconsin doesn't have legalized sports betting, but in recent years you got it legalized in Iowa and Illinois. You had it just legalized in Kansas. Indiana's been legal for a while. Ohio is going to be legal on January 1st. New York City has legalized within the last 6 months. And you're seeing $1 billion.
Yep, we lost him. Signal was really bad. We'll see if we can't get Eric back on the phone because that signal was breaking up awfully. See if we can't kind of figure that out. Yeah, a record 46.6 million Americans plan to bet on the NFL this season, which is up over 3% from last year, according to the survey released Wednesday by the American Gaming Association. As the NFL kicks off their season, 31 states have launched legal betting markets. California is going to decide in November whether to allow legal sports betting in their state. More than $50.4 billion has been bet on sports with the American sports books already in 2022, according to the AGA. The Dataform Morning Consult conducted a survey in 2022, I should say, of 2,210 Americans on behalf of the AGA in late August, and it said that 23 million Americans plan to bet online this season, up 18% from last year. We got him back. Eric is going to be, giving us a buzz back, so we'll talk to him coming up here in just a moment. But that being said, 13% of the NFL bettors say they're going to use unlicensed bookmakers this season. So there you have it. We got Eric back. Good. So we got Eric Eager of Pro Football Focus on the line. So I want to get into the betting lines themselves, Eric. So we all know that they're set by money. We're set by Vegas and such. But are other entities outside of Vegas now on board and setting lines in their own websites in their own jurisdictional areas?
Well, I think the interesting thing is bettors are the ones that set the lines, right? So we saw movement yesterday where, for example, Kansas City went from a 4.5 point favorite to a 6 point favorite within the matter of an hour. And that was because a sharp group named Right Angle Sports bet a ton of money on Kansas City. So, the interesting thing is the bookmakers will set the numbers. The limits will be low, right? You could bet like $1,000 a game. And then as we get closer to the game, they'll increase the limits because in theory, the more bets that they get, especially from sharp informed bettors, the better that they can set the line. So, for example, if you look at this Packers-Vikings game, it opened at 1.5. It got out to like 2.5. People were betting Green Bay sort of early in the process. And now some people, as they always do with the purple this time of year, like Kirk Cousins, like the narratives with Justin Jefferson and so forth, they bet that number back down. So it opens with like what the books think, and then it's shaped by the money that comes in and the profile of the money that comes in.
I know that it's become part of gambling. It has been the accentuation of the viewership of not just the NFL, but of all of sports. But the NFL, really, they were the first to really, I don't want to say embrace it, but they were the ones that kind of wink, wink, nod, nod, knew what was going on, and kind of embraced it under the surface of the water, so to speak. And that's really what drove a lot of the viewership early on to really promote the ratings of football, right?
Well, and we owe the injury report to gambling, the official injury report that comes out every week. Like that is just for gambling. If you ask any college football bettor, that is where a lot of college football bettors get their edge because they're able to call sports information directors and ask about injuries, whereas the average Joe Schmo just can't log on and know who's actually playing for the team. The NFL, through daily fantasy sports, through sports betting, they've kind of officialized a lot of this stuff. And now with sports betting becoming legal and above board in many states, you have right now the NFL Network. When Cynthia Freeland does a hit, she's talking about FanDuel sportsbook lines. That's by no mistake right now. That is because these sportsbooks are trying to acquire customers by advertising on screen.
So give me some of the lines this week that you think are either a little bit off or ones that are like dead on the money. If you're going to be sitting down and you're going to be reading this in your morning coffee and such and looking at some of these lines going, you know what, I got a couple of bucks in my pocket. Give me some of the things you may think might be worthwhile.
Yeah, I actually like the Packers minus. I like the Packers, pick them -1, -2.5, basically all the way out to -3. That's one where I think that people are underestimating the Packers' advantage at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. So that's one I like. One that's interesting to me, one where the markets have moved differently than my opinion. The Washington Commanders, they opened as 3.5 point favorites all the way back in May. People are like the Jaguars, and people bet the Jaguars through 3 all the way to 2.5, which it's a 1 point move, but it's a different 1 point than every other point because 3, about 9% of games land on 3. So that's a significant move in the value in the direction of Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence, and the Jaguars. I don't buy that. I actually think Washington's better than people believe. So that's one that's interesting. I think one that stayed dead on, and I think it's because the odds makers and bettors don't know how to handle it, is the Las Vegas Raiders going to Los Angeles to play the Chargers. They're 3.5 point underdogs. You and I both remember when the Raiders were actually the Los Angeles Raiders, and there were a lot of Raiders fans in Los Angeles as a result, and not a lot of Chargers fans, having come from San Diego in 2017. So I think that game is weird because we don't really know how to price home field advantage. If I could take a side of that game, I would take the Raiders at +3.5 against the Chargers team that everybody loves.
Talking with Eric Eager of Pro Football Focus. You can find his stuff at PFF_Eric. The prop bets are interesting to me. I look at some of this stuff. Is there going to be a shutout? Will there be an overtime game? Largest margin of victory? Things like that. Do you like the prop bets on some of this stuff?
Well, I think this is another reason why you first asked the question before I dropped off was, why we think betting handle will increase. And a lot of it's because you used to only be able to have basically 2 bets a game, side, spread bet, total, over under kind of thing. Right. And now you can add to that. Aaron Rodgers over under 2.5 passing touchdowns, Aaron Jones over under 9.5 carries. AJ Dillon, will he ever score a touchdown in this game? That kind of thing. And, those things are where you can actually win in the NFL. You have an angle. And I think, so I think a lot of novice bettors, if you want to come in, look, by the time it comes to Sunday, there's probably 6-figure limits on side and total for these games, you spread and over under. You're probably not going to win in that market, but you can come in, and if you have a good opinion on, who's going to be the number 1 wide receiver for the Packers and who they're going to throw to, you maybe be able to bet a prop for, Sammy Watkins' number of catches or Romeo Dobbs' number of catches and have an easier chance of winning that than if you bet the Packers minus 1.
I got to ask you, I was going through this today, and they're talking about all the starting quarterbacks, and the first one to be benched. There's Geno Smith and Trubisky, Daniel Jones, Marcus Mariota, Baker Mayfield, and goes through the whole list, including some of the ones like Tua, Justin Fields, Trey Lance. Thoughts on something like that? Because I saw even Peter King put out this morning that he thought Jimmy Garoppolo would take over for Trey Lance, that it could be Trevor Lawrence that gets benched. I mean, this is rather interesting to me as we look at guys to fail more so than anything.
Yeah, there's the market on who's the first head coach to be fired. That one was controversial last year because John Gruden technically resigned. So they're read the fine print if you're going to bet these. But yeah, the Lance thing's interesting, right? Because I think a lot of people are going to say, well, you used the number 3 pick on him, you traded up for him, but based on what? I mean, he started 3 games in the last 3 NFL season or 3 calendar years. It's not going to be easy for Lance. The Niners play in a division where their only competition is the Rams, and the Rams have a quarterback who has a sore elbow. This is a win now team, and it might be one of those things where, okay, maybe Lance is still the guy of the future, much like last year, but Jimmy Garoppolo is going to, turn the keys to this car for the next 10 games or so. That one's a good one. I think Trubisky, though, I think Trubisky's the first guy benched. The Pittsburgh Steelers have kind of a mini bye early, and I think if he struggles right out the gate, you might see that.
The Baker Mayfield revenge factor I find rather interesting with Cleveland and Carolina going after it early on. How much do you weigh into just simply that thought, that quarterback going after his old team? Carolina, Cleveland has their own quarterback issue, but Carolina obviously at home. But how much does that factor in rather than just the overall team aspect of this?
I think it's trace. You can put all these things in the model. Usually you'll have a familiarity variable. So how often do these teams play? Interdivision games, this is another answer to why Green Bay is only favored by 1 against the Vikings. Interdivision games, generally speaking, are smaller spreads, and they favor home teams. For all those reasons, right, Cleveland and Carolina are not familiar with each other that much. Carolina is a home favorite. So I think they're already pricing that into the market. And that's really the question you have to ask when you make bets is not if something exists. Most things exist. Injuries exist. The question is it accounted for properly in the betting market? And I think in this case, this thing opened around, Cleveland -1, 1.5 or so. And now it's moved all the way to Carolina -2.5. I think if you make an argument for revenge, I think you almost have to make one that it's been overcounted in this process.
The thought is that Aaron Rodgers no shot at winning a back-to-back-to-back MVP. Give me your thoughts on that. If he comes out playing with a chip on his shoulder and shows the world, hey, I can get it done and I can take my team deep into the postseason without Davante Adams, how likely would it be that he could win it for a third straight time?
Pretty likely. Also, the NFC, I know the Packers, they have a tough schedule of like rest and they have a lot of, night games and stuff like that. So they don't have the easiest schedule in the world, but the NFC by and large is easier than the AFC this year. So, when you look at Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, a lot of the favorites there, they're going to go through a tougher slate. They might have more blemishes on their schedule than Rodgers does. Additionally, it's a narrative driven award. You lost Davante Adams, you lost Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Nathaniel Hackett, your quarterback coach, offensive coordinator guy. Like, I think if he goes out there and blowtorches the league again, I think people are going to be like, well, he did it without what we thought were a lot of the constituent pieces. So, they very well could give him the award as well. I think it's an NFC quarterback that ends up winning the award. If it's not, somebody like Patrick Mahomes, who I think is being slept on a little bit, given he has some of the same things as Rodgers, having lost a lot of his talent around him.
Real quick before I let you go, with all the rumors and innuendos swirling around Tom Brady right now off the field, is Brady thrown for 5,000 yards? The likelihood of it, the bettors say that he's still got it, but there's a lot of things that right now questioning his commitment, questioning whether or not his mind is in football or his mind is at home, all that certain circumstance with Tom Brady. Give me your thoughts.
Well, I think the first month will tell you a lot because after the first month, so they play Dallas, I believe they play Green Bay, and then Kansas City within that first 4 or 5 games of the year. After that, this thing is an absolute cakewalk. The Falcons stink. The Panthers stink. New Orleans is kind of up or down. I think Sean Payton's going to mean more than people believe. So, if Brady can get through that first month, much like he did his first year in Tampa, if he can get through that first month without like imploding, I think it's going to be a cakewalk for him. And that's a team that he threw 719 times last year, and they won 13 games. It's the first time in league history that a team has depended that much on the pass and won that much. So, they might play a little bit more of a run-first style with a defensive-minded head coach now, but I doubt it.
Hey, I apologize. I got one more for you. You mentioned New Orleans. Suddenly, New Orleans is becoming a darling. And last I remember, they were in salary cap jail. They were dumping guys. They were restructuring salaries. They lost their head coach. Jameis Winston's coming back from injury. What makes people seem to think that New Orleans is all of a sudden has the capability to be a Super Bowl team?
Yeah, I think, and Peter King's a friend of mine. So like, I don't want to ding him here, but old school football guys love running game and they love defense. And New Orleans, for all their faults, they have that this year, right? They have a very good defense. They have a good running game with Kamara and Ingram and guys like that. Offensive line might be a little shaky, but I think that, again, Dennis Allen to win Coach of the Year, something like 30-1, 35-1 is the bet to make on New Orleans. If they win that division, Dennis Allen's getting Coach of the Year.
Good stuff. Eric, appreciate it always, buddy. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Hey, thanks for having me on. Take care.
Absolutely. There you go. Eric Eager, Pro Football Focus. You can read his stuff at PFF_Eric. At PFF_Eric, and Pro Football Focus, having all stats, statistics, facts, figures, all that kind of good stuff. Always a great read. Yeah, there's all kinds of prop bets. When we come back, let's do this. I'll read you some of the prop bets, and we'll go through some of this, Ben, as the prop bets coming out of Vegas are flying in fast and furious today. Stay tuned. Got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Gina Della from Pella here. Wayne Larrabee and his wife Julie took advantage of our wide range of beautiful wood designs that can be painted, stained, or unfinished to complement any decor.
We have a lot of windows in this house. You match the craftsmanship of the woodwork around those windows to a T. That's a talented group of people doing that.
We like our wood tones, and so the ability to have wood tone some places and the white windows others, it worked really well for us and allowed us to have exactly what we wanted.
Pella's team of expert installers always provides service of the highest quality, starting with an in-home consultation and ending with no hassle or mess, leaving nothing but perfect results that stand the test of time. We have the best wood warranty in the industry to prove it. There's no reason to wait any longer because right now, put no money down, make no payments, and be charged 0 interest for up to 24 months. At Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Get started today at PellaWI.com.
BillMichaelsGolfClub.com.
Expires 9/30/2022. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
.com. There you go. So, first of all, Ben, you know, two things. We're going to be at Mason's Pub and Eatery tonight, and that is down in Kenosha, Wisconsin. So I'm looking forward to that, which is it's right off of 70th Court and 74th Place down there. So I was kind of looking it up, and I know exactly where it's at. Now, two things. One, they got a pretzel there bigger than your head. I might have to go in on that. But on the way home, do you know what that means, Ben?
What? The fact that it's a big pretzel?
No. That it's down in
I
Kenosha.
don't know.
You and I had this discussion right off of Highway 50, which is technically 75th Street down there. But what is right down the street, as I had mentioned? White Castle.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Might have to get some of that to bring home.
So tomorrow is going to be a fun one.
Well, the studio here at the house is ventilated. Yes, but might have to do that too. So I'm going to do, it looks like they got some really good tacos, and they got a Bavarian pretzel down at Mason's that's just as big as your head. I was looking at some stuff online. But yeah, the White Castle right next to the Mad Rooster Cafe down there in Kenosha. Yeah,
I've never eaten White Castle.
You've never had White Castle?
No, I've never been. Well, I don't think they
Oh,
had
my
them
goodness.
on the East Coast. I've never been somewhere where it crossed my mind to eat it.
We have to get Ben some White Castle in some way, shape, or form. We got to get it to you when it's hot.
What is it, like Shake Shack?
I don't think I've ever been to Shake Shack. I think I've been to Shake Shack once. No, it's different. No, this is different. Yeah, you got to get you some White Castle. Then you'll know. You'll know what Saturday night abdominal pain feels like.
Bill, I had it yesterday.
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard that
I couldn't
things were
sit
not
for the
good,
first hour of the show.
I heard that things were not good there in the studio.
Oh, it was terrible.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, that's all on the agenda tonight. So tomorrow's show should be fun. All right, some of the prop bets. Week 1. Most points scored by a team in week 1. The over and under is 44.5. Which would you take, Ben?
Ooh, I just top of the brain. I would say the under. I think if there's anything that's rusty to start a season, it's offense.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also don't have, when teams don't have much film, I think that would benefit defenses more than it would offenses, if that makes sense. It always feels like it's rusty to start. So
Yeah.
I'd take under.
I would probably go along with you on that. I'd probably be in on that.
But the Ravens are playing the Jets. So
that's true.
That could make me look
When
stupid.
you talk about the biggest, the biggest score, so to speak. Yeah, I could go along with you.
And Chiefs Cardinals.
Right.
Not much defense played in that game traditionally.
Well, I tell you what, I'm looking forward to tomorrow night, aren't you? Bills
I am.
Rams. That's gonna be a good game. Out in LA. I can't wait. Now do we get that anywhere local, or is that just strictly on Amazon Prime now?
No, that's NBC, I believe, to lead it off. Let me check.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's on NBC.
It's on NBC.
So that's
okay.
national TV.
So there we go. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a game that could turn out to be a blowout. 49ers Bears, maybe. That could be a blowout. Maybe if Matt Ryan turns it on. Colts Texans. I think not. Ravens Jets probably the most likely to be a blowout. You could be Denver. Denver going into Seattle's not a good football team. And it could be Denver and Seattle with
Russ revenge game there.
Russell Wilson going in and destroying the Seahawks. But that could happen. But yeah, there's not a lot of huge blowout games here on the docket. Let's see. Go ahead.
Do you think any points will be scored between the Niners and the Bears? Like, maybe it's just me. The whole Trey Lance thing is very weird to me at this point. Like, all the indications are like he's not the
good.
guy yet.
No. I didn't like him when they took him. What's he played like? He's only thrown like 38 passes in the last 3 or 4 years. It's not like he's got this, he wasn't this machine. I take that back. He's thrown more passes than that, but it's not like he's just been this guy winging it all over the place and you just can't wait to let him out of the stable to run. He wasn't that impressive from the very beginning.
Trey Lance or Jordan Love, top of the head. Who do you take rest of their career?
Oh, my God. Isn't that bad because Trey Lance was chosen so high? I would take Trey Lance just because of the expectation coming out of college versus the expectation of Jordan Love. I'd probably come back to eat my words there.
I might take Jordan Love.
Yeah, I would probably end up I'd take Trey Lance just based on what he's supposed to be, but neither have really set the world on fire. Jordan Love looked better in preseason. That I'll give you. Will there be a safety in week 1? Will there be an overtime game? The largest winning margin by one team in week 1 is the over and under is 28.5. Does anybody in the NFL, I'd take the under on that. I can't imagine anybody getting blown out by more than 28 points, 29 points. Most receiving yards by one player in week 1, 150.5. Most rushing yards by one player, 139.5. That I take the over on because week 1, you don't usually throw the ball a ton unless you got everybody returning, and then the run game can become prevalent. Most rushing yards by a quarterback in week 1, 85.5. I think I would have to take the under on that. That's a lot of points, or that's a lot of yards. And then what was the other one? To start week 1, Carson Wentz, Tua, Baker Mayfield, Ryan Tannehill, Davis Mills, Jameis Winston, Daniel Jones, Jared Goff, on down from there. To start week 1, 2023 so you're betting on next season for their current team. Oh, that's interesting. Now you're betting down the road. A lot of Carson Wentz passing stats in week 1. And what was the other one? There was one here. Russell Wilson passing yards in week 1, 240.5. Will Russell Wilson throw an interception in week 1? Baker Mayfield passing stats. And then will Tom Brady retire at the end of the season? Or will he play more? And if Tom Brady plays in 2023, will it be for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Yes or no? A lot of stuff there. A lot of stuff to nosh on. So some things via the betting and betonline.ag. Again, betonline.ag. A lot of those prop bets are there right now. So there you go. Anything there that piqued your interest?
Carson Wentz interception numbers are always fun. He'll always give you a couple there, but I don't know. I always stay away from betting those kind of things the first week while we learn a lot about how teams approach the game. When it comes to games themselves, I mean, there are some I like, but I haven't ironed out the picks for sure yet. I will say, though, the quarterback rushing thing, I'm in love with Lamar Jackson this year. I think he goes crazy, so I would take the over and expect him to go nuts against the Jets.
What do you think of if he completely cuts off talks, as he said he will do once the season gets underway? So they have until Sunday to work out a deal. If he cuts off talks, what is the likelihood he gets hurt?
You would be inclined to think it would happen, given how that always seems to play out.
Because then you're betting on yourself. And now don't get me wrong. We've seen players do it. Kirk Cousins has done it. Darrelle Revis has done it. Numerous players bet on themselves, and they won year after year after year and made a lot of money doing it. But yeah, and I can't believe, by the way, and I know we're running late here, I can't believe that the Ravens have now there was a post out that the Ravens offered him $250 million, but like 180 guaranteed. And he said, no, they have not offered him that. That's not been an offer. What are the Ravens thinking? You know what I mean? If they're looking at this going, you know what? Once Randall Cunningham years ago got beat up, he didn't have it. Once you saw even Colin Kaepernick. Now I think Lamar Jackson is a far better quarterback than Colin Kaepernick. But once Colin Kaepernick got beat up, he was not the same quarterback. I mean, even Dante Culpepper, as big as he was a running quarterback. Once he got beat up, he wasn't the same guy. So I wonder if they're looking at this going, he wasn't as accurate on the run as we'd hoped he would be. And when he does run, he's getting beat up. Maybe the longevity is not going to be there. We don't want to give him all the guaranteed money. Maybe that's the way they're looking at this, because technically they've got him for 2 more years. He can play this year under this contract, and then next year, unless he decides to sit out, they could always franchise tag him if they wanted to. But I just wonder what the hell they're thinking, because the quarterback market is only escalating. It's not going down. So if you believe he's your guy, I figure you would sign him now. I don't know. Anyway, let's do this. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
It's MilwaukeeBedBugPros.com. Call Michael over there. He's probably sitting around having a good cigar right now, just waiting for the phone to ring. 414-877-5811. 414-877-5811. And it doesn't matter if it's the bed bugs or ants, roaches, those flying insects, that the stink bugs, the nasty things. Safe and effective thermal and chemical care. If you got kids, safe. Dogs, pets, safe, good to go. Treatment finds not only the bugs, but the eggs. You don't want those things to grow. No. Nay. Or if you just want to do preventative maintenance, residential homes, townhomes, multi-unit apartment buildings, condos, dorm rooms. You don't want the kids coming home with the creepy crawlies. Hotels, motels, resorts, medical facilities, daycare. They got it all. They can do it all. All you got to do is give them a shout. Go to MilwaukeeBedBugPros.com. That's MilwaukeeBedBugPros.com. Or call them 414-877-5811. 414-877-5811. There you go. I don't know if you happen to hear this. We all know that Brian Kelly is a jerk. We all know he's a pompous ass. We all know that his team got beat on a couple of different plays, but specifically the last play of the game in which the PAT was blocked. So Brian Kelly has his press conference, and there were some other things going on, and some of the media members that were coming into the press conference came in. They were, as he was at the podium, they were running into the media auditorium to cover his press conference. This was Brian Kelly at the podium.
And now we're excited about the weekend. So with that, we'll open it up to this late arriving media crowd that must have enjoyed the weekend. That's usually $10 that we put in the kitty. We'll have a big bash at the end of the year at my place. I don't think it has anything to do with winning.
No!
I think it has to do with being on time.
No! Oh! So he's kind of being tongue-in-cheek, and he's also kind of being a sarcastic ass. And then one of the female reporters, you could hear her voice in the background, says, well, maybe if you win, we'd be on time. Oh! I love it. I love it. Oh, I mean, game one, out of the chute. Take that dagger to the rectum. Damn. That Brian Kelly. Oh, my goodness. Head coach of LSU football. The honeymoon is over. Man. Didn't you smile when you heard that, Ben?
I did. There were reactions. Obviously, when videos are posted, there are reactions on both sides.
Yeah.
Many were coming at the media members for being unprofessional. Many thought Kelly looked like an ass. For me, I think he was trying to be genuinely funny. He just isn't.
He isn't.
And it came off as, condescending. And then
here-
her coming back, the same deal.
Here's the problem. He comes with a reputation of being a jerk. So if you're going to be funny about something else. But, and again, I know he tried to say it tongue in cheek. I get it, but he never cracked a smile. If you watch the video, he seemed like he was berating in some way, shape, or form the media for being late. How dare you be late for me? And he has had this propensity in the past. He tries to pull a Saban where he can flex his muscles and put the media down. When you're at Notre Dame, maybe a little bit. You're at Notre Dame. You're South Bend, Indiana. You can kind of pound your chest a little bit. You scampered for the money. And suddenly you've been made fun of for a Southern draw. You have tried to put people in their place. You're known as being somewhat of a jackass. I don't fault the media for this at all. And I think they had something else that they were covering. So I just, they were doing something and he tried to be funny with it and he got it thrown right back in his face. Now, media being unprofessional, not usually. Usually it's like we're kind of like cattle. You give us that opportunity, we're going to come in, we're going to sit down, we're going to, ask our questions. But kudos to her saying basically, hey, we're not going to take your crap. This isn't Notre Dame. You can't just come down here and run roughshod over us. Only Nick Saban can do that. Mike Clemens going to join us coming up next on the Bill Michaels Show. Stay tuned.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others. Time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine. A place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers are getting ready to face the Vikings Sunday at U.S. Bank Stadium. Green Bay lost a close one there last November, 34-31 on a walk-off field goal. Were the Vikings the better team that day? Packers inside linebacker Devondre Campbell.
No, they just played better than we did that day. It happens. It's the NFL, you know. Like, sometimes you just get outplayed.
The Packers drafted Quay Walker in the first round. They signed Rasul Douglas and Jair Alexander to new contracts in the secondary. Campbell was asked if the Packers defense comes in a little bit overhyped.
I mean, there's not really much hype. We just got to go out and do what we do. We know how good we can be, but it doesn't matter about he say, she say. We just got to go out and show it.
The Vikings return with weapons like Delvin Cook and wide receiver Justin Jefferson, Minnesota's Adam Thielen on the NFL Network on what they see from Green Bay's defense.
They have guys on the outside that are aggressive. They have a lot of guys mixing in that they kind of keep them fresh and healthy. They have some veterans, too, that have played a lot of football, so they understand the game. They understand route concepts, things like that. So they have a lot of guys that have a lot of experience in this league, and it's going to be a good challenge for us. So we're excited about that. We know that it's going to be there's no easy games in this league, and especially when you're playing Aaron Rodgers and obviously, like you said, a new and improved defense.
That's Vikings wide receiver Adam Thielen. In Green Bay, I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
Enjoyed kind of dining, if you will, on that deck above the Water Buff Smokies Bait Shop. Watching the boats come in and out. But Curly's Waterfront Pub and Grill, great service, even better food, and a lot of good friends over there. Stop in, tell Ryan and the staff we said hi. Joining us now on the hotline, our good buddy Mike Clemens is along for the ride. Michael, how you doing, pal?
Just off the practice field, Bill, and when I walked in today, the Vikings are practicing later in the day, trying to get that U.S. Bank feel at 3:25 in the afternoon. But LaFleur's got them outside in the traditional Clark Kinkle field. It's sunny and 81 here. So when I walked in, the first thing I saw is 32 Kylan Hill continue his rehab from the ACL. I saw Mason Crosby kicking some balls, and at one point, Rich Bisaccia, your special teams coordinator, he is crouched down, and he's snapping the ball, to O'Donnell, the holder, and it's like rapid kicks, like 5-6 in a row, just quick to get the hold and get the ball down, and Mason do a quick little kick like that. So I imagine Mason Crosby's at the point now where if there's any pain the next day after he kicks 30, 40 balls in practice, it's manageable. But the big story, injury-wise, is the Alan Lazard running gassers about 40 yards. Now, today we learned from LaFleur, he said, well, okay, he got stepped on. It was a week ago when they had that intense 4-period game-like practice last Wednesday. So he didn't say what it was. He said, the injury report's coming out this afternoon. I saw Allen favoring his left foot, talking to a trainer about that, how it responded after he would run one of these 40-yard gassers. I saw him run 3 or 4. It looked like he was about up to 80% speed. But, that looks like to be a question mark right now for Sunday's game.
So I know that also Matt LaFleur had said when asked, do you know you're starting 5 on the offensive line? He kind of smiled to say, yeah, he just wasn't going to tell anybody, right?
Yeah, they're playing that shell game with, whether Elton Jenkins could go, whether Bakhtiari will go, or whether they'll go with, the young starting 5. like with Nyman or Royce Newman at right tackle, that Aaron Rodgers said, hey, that's probably going to be the starting five, or at least if those two veterans can't go. But the big story that everybody's here talking about, Bill, is what you guys had at the start of hour 3, is this Zadarius Smith story. Now, I knew that Tyler Dunn was up there in the Vikings camp, a couple of months ago. And so, you're just kind of sitting and waiting to see how this thing's going to develop, other sources you talk to. And I know Tyler was on the show today. But the fact is, Zadarius says, and we've had his explanation on the show before, actual audio clip from Zadarius Smith saying, I'm weightlifting last summer. Something happened in the back. They said it was a bulging disc. He had 2 or 3 different opinions, finally got the surgery, etc. But, for him to come out now later and say, at the end of the day, he didn't like the way the Packers treated him through that situation last year is interesting to know.
Do you think, now we didn't hear anything about like hard feelings or anything with Zadarius, right?
No, but I guess that's what some of the things he said in the article, and there seems to be now a little bit of there's some emails going back and forth between teams and agents and sources stuff, and these guys are all aflutter about it up here today, like, oh man, this looks like it's got a little juice on it, and Zadarius, you played that presser from him, he even said, look, it's just a game, we're playing a game on Sunday, but yeah, I'm looking forward to going against my old teammates. I got an open shot, at number 12 and whatever. But you just got the feeling here that 3 years ago, Zadarius Smith comes in the spring, holds this huge barbecue, and all the teams are there and families and whatnot. And Aaron Rodgers said, yeah, we haven't had that around here in a while. It was great. So, he was like a leader in the locker room. He was a captain. But then, there's a couple of those playoff games that made you wonder, where was Zadarius Smith? Why wasn't his hair on fire against the Buccaneers or the 49ers, a couple of years ago? And then, this injury that went up and down last year. And at some point, you got to think Gutekunst just says, Rashawn Gary is ascending. Preston Smith seems to be almost a better player with Zadarius off the field. We can move on and save some money. And that's where obviously there's some hard feelings.
Hey, Mike, real quick before I let you go, a lot of talk about Rodgers, the ability to move the football with this offense. Some seem to think it's going to go slow. I read Peter King's piece today on the air where he thinks it's going to be just fine. What do you think? Because we have not seen all 30 of these guys, 30 of these starters and such on the field.
No, we haven't. I'm curious to see if he actually can find some rhythm with Randall Cobb and Sammy Watkins. That's the thing you're going to look for. I don't think this is going to be a big running game. They only kept the 2 running backs, and they could, and there's 3 times a year you could take a practice squad and activate them Saturday afternoon. So they could put Tyler Goodson up 3 times. They could do that Saturday afternoon going into the game. But they're not really built for that big of a running game. It's the same stuff that they've been doing all along. Misdirection, short passes, high percentage passes. It's just, are these guys going to be in sync with Rodgers, and are they going to catch the football?
Mike, good stuff as always. We will we'll talk again real soon, okay?
Thank you, Bill.
All right, bud. Talk to you later. There you go, Mike Clemens giving us the update live up there in Green Bay. Packers practicing just a little bit late today, so trying to get ready for the game this weekend. Tomorrow on the program, Mark Schofield is going to be joining us. Paul Charchian, fantasy football. Arif Hassan is going to be with the Vikings, covers the Vikings for the Athletics, so going to be covering that again tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Should be good stuff. A lot of fun. Coming up again tomorrow. Tonight, Mason's Pub and Grill down in Kenosha. We will see you down there 6 to 8 this evening. Keep it locked on your radio dial. I know that's kind of cliche, but there you have it. Good stuff. We'll be back at it again tonight. Coming up here shortly. Cleaning up the studio and then heading down Mason's Pub. Until we talk again.